like a devil, I become numb to the world. The bastard son, I've been beat down, played the fool, scratching and crawling. In my darkest days I find even the devil has demons to hide. Through waging wars I will rise, and I'm not giving up. Terror and death can be.
And welcome back to the only podcast to survive the Great Depression with some money in the bank, shoddy what you drink. Welcome back to Bohemian Chat, Sody. I got you, didn't I? You did.
What the fuck?
What?
Applause didn't work.
What? Oh,
Why'd you break my applause, Marshall?
I didn't. If you look, God, you've already screwed it up, Clint.
Always.
Jesus. What'd you do? Oh,
I think
The make
God, there it goes. But anyways, guys, we have a very awesome episode for you guys tonight. I know it's been a while since we've actually had a guest, but we're actually pretty excited because we have taken our guest level to a new height. Because we don't actually have a guest in studio. We're via Zencaster, right? With a couple guys from the band. Poet the Band. We're here with AIDEN, who is the lead singer, correct?
Yep.
And Kevin, the drummer from Poet the Band. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We have been rocking y'all's music all week, like all of us. It's
fucking Like a Devil.
hell yeah, Like a Devil is pretty good.
Shit starts out so fucking hard.
Yeah, it definitely slaps. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's my 13-year-old's favorite is Miss Misery.
That's all.
She loves that song. Yeah, that's her favorite one. And then
When you get started.
so
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm gonna get her started now. That way, she's listening
Hell
to
yeah.
y'all forever.
Hey,
See,
there we go.
Me and Clint, we used to play in metal bands back in our youth. So the harder ones are the ones that we tend to I mean, the quicker you start with just in your face aggression, that's definitely our go-to. So
That's
like
what
it-
I'm for sure. I mean, I was a screamer until 2018. I had never actually sang on a track until one of my old bands here left, and then I started singing. Now, I mean, I went through choir and stuff growing up. I'd always sang, but never actually written my own stuff and recorded it. Always had better singers around me, so I just never had that kind of confidence. I feel like then everything happened that happened. And I
It's gonna be better around you. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean that's so it's just I really gravitate towards heavier stuff for sure a lot of times.
yeah. We come from not to give on age. I don't know how old you guys are. How old are y'all? Before I get
Most of
into-
us are getting closer to our 40s. Aiden's the baby of the band.
Yeah, I'm 30. I'll be 31 here in November.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, we're still our generation. We're 35, 36.
So that's
So,
basically our
yeah,
median
that's
age is
the guys.
35, 36.
yeah. We're big from like All That Remains, Kill Switch, that era of metal, and
For sure.
yeah, that's where we gravitate towards. So, all right, guys. Do us a favor. Let's start with some formal introductions. Give your names. I know I do it, but give your names, what you did in the band, and then give us a little backstory. Where y'all come from, and the growing up situation, how you got into music, stuff like that.
Aiden, you can go first, my
Kevin, I'll
friend.
let you go first.
All right, I'll go first. I'm Kevin. I'm the drummer. I also we all wear a lot of hats, and Aiden will kind of get into that too. But I primarily handle like the booking, some of the management stuff, tour managing, and kind of like endorsements and some of that shit. A lot of the business end of stuff. But as the more we talk, you'll see a real clear picture. We try to do absolutely everything we can in house, and that means we don't have to pay other people to do shit. But I've been playing drums about 30 years. I started when I was like 5. Basically, it was a total accident how it happened. My brother played guitar. I was like, oh, he'll call me a copycat, so I'm not going to play guitar, even though I was interested in it. And a good friend of mine, went over to his house after school. His dad had like a full studio, drum kit, the whole 9 yards. and he just like handed me a pair of drumsticks. I was like, oh yeah, go have fun with it. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. Started like whacking shit, you know. Then that Christmas, you know, walk downstairs, like, oh my God, what am I going to get? There's like nothing under the tree for me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was that terrible this year? And my parents were like, go down, like, your present's down in the basement. And, like, our basement wasn't finished. I'm like 5 years old. I was like scared. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't want to go down there. And
They're about to clean them up. We don't have those down here. Yeah, we don't have.
so yeah, I'm in Michigan. I probably should have said that too, but so I go downstairs, turn around the corner. There's this black TKO kit. It probably was like $300, you know, like total piece of junk. Obviously, at the time, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And for like the first 2 years that I played, my brother, who's a couple years older than me, all of his friends were musicians, and like he would go to their house and like play their drums. So he would play my drum set. He was playing like Basket Case and shit like that. I couldn't even do anything. So it was like super fucking depressing. But I was taking lessons, and I eventually, you know, I got to a point to where I surpassed him, and then he never touched my drums again. But
it just reminds me of Step Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you touch my drums?
I'd be upstairs playing like Super Nintendo, and like I'd hear him playing it. And I'm like, this motherfucker, like, how is he better than?
Why are you so sweaty? I know cops didn't come on till 4.
But yeah, so I took lessons for like 6 years, and then I got into the first band that I was ever in. And when I was a freshman, and the rest of them were like juniors in high school. And then I went to college, and then as soon as I got back from college, it was '08, so the economy was absolutely fucked. And I was just like, well, I'm just gonna try being a rock star. Doing the corporate thing ain't gonna happen right now, and I've just been playing ever since.
Yeah. What'd you major in college?
Business and IT.
Okay.
Hey, nice. I'm an IT major myself. I'm currently in school for cybersecurity and information assurance. At this
Yeah,
point.
when I was in school,
Hey.
they didn't really have a whole lot of the cybersecurity stuff given the time. And it was basically like a general IT degree, and then like programming or networking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's all they
fucking
had back
do
then.
not like programming at all. So I was like, I'm just gonna do the minor, and then I'll do like business admin as my major. I don't want to add extra.
Hey, that works. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I'll do one better. I was trying to set a timeshare in the middle of a fucking recession. Yeah, it was one of the most hated fucking. Yeah, I really was. But hey, I surprisingly did pretty well at it.
Nice.
But yeah, it most certainly didn't last. But all right, Aiden, what about you, man? Give us a little bit of the backstory.
Yeah, well, I'm Aiden Shaw. I'm the singer for Poet the Band and Screamer. I played music, I mean, pretty much since I was like 10 years old. I've been actually like singing, trying to write my own songs. I think I started with lyrics, which is probably a weird thing for most singers. Lyrics were my way of kind of putting out my rough childhood and stuff, basically escaping that. I would write songs all day in school since 7th grade, 8th grade. I was, writing lyrics starting out. Never could find a band because nobody in my family is really a musician except for one of my cousins. And his dream, he pretty much gave up on it, didn't play any instruments or do anything by the time that I was getting into it. But I think I found some neighborhood kids. I tried from the time I was 10 to get a band going. And when I was 14, I had finally actually got a band that wrote some songs enough to go and play a show. So we basically did that. And I was just a screamer, like I said, for years. I always had other singers in the band. Had always wanted to take that journey and be a singer, but there was always people around me that I thought were better. And there was no need for me to really do that, and everybody liked my screams a lot. So I kept doing that for years until actually getting in a band that toured and realizing that this was what I wanted to do with my life, not just writing songs. I wanted to be a part of the whole thing. I want to tour. I want to do the business side. I want to shoot music videos. I want to go to the studio. Just really fell in love with the entire process of it, even the monotonous stuff like setting up pages online and the business side of it is always something I've been passionate about too. So just kind of coming from that, my parents weren't not supportive, but they weren't really supportive either. They just didn't look at that as like any kind of viable thing. But they didn't tell me not to do it. They weren't like, hey, you can't go and practice or you can't do these, this or that. So I think that in a lot of ways, when I was able to find a support system, allowed me to flourish a lot more. until finding these guys, meeting Spencer and Kevin, and forming Poet the Band. Um, I had actually started singing in an old band of mine called Arm the Witness. And like I said earlier, we had lost our singer. And the only real option, it seemed at that time, was for me to just take up those reins and start singing. I kind of went only singing there for a bit, and there was no screaming. Our music went way less heavy. And then we kind of come back to Poet the Band, and now I feel like we try to mix it up a bit. Took me a bit to get there as a singer to where I could actually even do both. And doing our first tour, I learned real quick that singing and screaming, especially when you write it in the studio and you're not considering like, oh, I need to take a breath here, or I need a space between part or not. So then learned real quick, because I blew my voice out on like the third night of tour, but not didn't fully blow it out. Weirdly enough, like I just pretty much my mid range was just gone. I couldn't hit. I would crack, but I could do lower or higher, and I could do screams no problem. So I think that brought me to this point now where we're at, where I kind of taken a different approach to it, trying to really consider those things, and still developing every day as a singer. I went to school for video or for cinematography. I graduated from Full Sail, and also did an associates in computer animation. So I basically just kind of took all of that towards my bands and try to handle as much as I can. We still hire a crew when we shoot our videos and stuff, so it's not literally just us unless we have to be. We don't want that to hinder us, but usually we'll hire a cinematographer or something to come in, and we'll have a small crew just to make sure. I can't shoot myself obviously performing unless I tripod it and keep all kinds of stuff like that. It's just much easier to do the other way. So I kind of come from film and design and animation background, coming into music, and that's pretty much it. I try to bring all that to the band, and I love doing all of it. It's enjoyable to create a lot of the look behind the band, and to also be so heavily involved with writing and everything as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, like me and Andrew, we're pretty much the brains of everything. Our artwork is what he came up with as far as our logo, the faces and everything, and he come up with that. And then I'm the behind the scenes, the post production, the editing, all of that, putting everything together. And like Andrew said earlier, me and Kevin have been back and forth for 4 or 5 days now, trying to get all this set up and get it all ready to go. And I think it's pretty cool, that we're able, and honestly, that we pretty much all have a real similar background as far as technology goes, and the fact, that technology these days plays such an important part in, the making of videos, whether it's, a podcast video, a music video, whatnot, and even just audio. I think, technology helps tremendously in that aspect.
Sure. I mean, like, you can even go back to, like, I want to say it was back when, like, Lamb of God first was, like, kind of getting big. I think it was Chris Adler. He was actually working at a campus library, and he was back when AOL was all the rage, right? And he was hopping in chat rooms and shit, like, promoting his band. And, like, with it being 2023, it's really, really hard to, like, push, like, the internet, because back then the internet was, like, so much smaller, like, there wasn't as many avenues. I think trying to find that right way to do it. And on top of that, like I said, we all wear a lot of hats, but the one thing this band does that every other band I think failed in was we all post, like, as much as humanly possible. Like, we all try to get together to do, like, the Spotify playlist stuff. Like, we all actually give a fuck. Where bands where, like, that one person's like, oh, nobody's gonna care, and it's like, bro, it doesn't matter. Like, everyone's gonna go, why are 3 out of the 4 promoting it, and why is that one dude not? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah. What I have is shut up. What I love is with how, like, social media and technology has taken place, it was really starting to make the record labels obsolete. And I signed a record deal when I was 15, and turned around and had to get bought out of it to sign my next record deal. Mm-hmm. And even then, like, the record label, even though it was a minor label, was taking so much of the money that it was hard for us as the artists to even make a penny. Like, we were literally living there paycheck to paycheck, working day jobs, and could not get ahead because the people that were funding the project were taking 90% of the profit. So I love that like YouTube and all these avenues that help you make money just off the amount of plays and clicks that you get, make it to where artists like y'all don't even need a record label. You know, most artists nowadays, if they sign a label, it's because they want to, and they have more leverage against that to hold on to their masters and stuff like that, because the record labels are becoming obsolete. And I love that because it puts the money in the pockets of the people that deserve it, is the artists. And especially like y'all, with y'all doing so much behind the scenes work, y'all deserve to get 100% of that profit. So I mean, y'all are doing great things, man. Like I said, we've been listening to y'all all week, and I mean, what I love is everything y'all have on Spotify. There's not a track that I've listened to that I've wanted to skip. You know, a lot of artists, you have those couple of songs that you can tell they're album fillers.
Yeah.
And you know, but every song y'all have, you listen to, and it's just an absolute fucking banger.
Well, I appreciate
and
100%.
You're jamming the whole time, man. I was listening on the way here just to kind of, I like to pregame. You know, if we had a military guest a while back, and you know, I just get in the mindset of that. You know, I started researching military stuff like that. Lucky enough, he was a friend of mine. But with y'all, like I was listening to y'all like the whole way over here just to try and get immersed in y'all's music, man. And y'all got something special going on. Like y'all are the fucking
the EP
shit,
is only
man.
23 minutes, so
and I mean, there's a few things I'd love to touch on, but yeah, I mean, you know, what you said about, like, even though we released an EP, every song was written individually with not an EP in mind. The whole reason we dropped the EP, honestly, was just because, I mean, we were going on tour and we needed something physical to sell. But, you know, we didn't do the traditional route. And we had originally intended on dropping every single except for this 7th track before we even dropped the EP. But we got behind trying to do all the music videos or doing it all ourselves, and schedules fell behind. So we ended up only getting, you know, 3 or 4 of them out before the EP actually dropped for the music videos. So now we still have more music videos to drop. But I think the whole purpose, it's definitely a single world, and there's many reasons why. I think albums do good, and obviously record labels have to do albums because they're a record label. You know what I mean? It's not a single labels, it's a record label. They do records, and their distribution is kept because they have to release so many records every year, you know, or they lose their distribution. Plus, obviously, they want to make money. And like you said about the 90% thing, that's something that I'd love to touch on, because a big part of this band is trying to eliminate the record labels. And we're in the middle of doing a documentary called Modern Day Poets, which basically follows our journey building our band in our 30s to show people that, you know, there's no reason that unless you just don't love it anymore and you want to go to something else and put all your effort in that, especially with technology now, there's no reason that you can't just release music, continuously write stuff. And even if you aren't doing the crazy marketing, it's like you can always put music out later, and you never know. One of them could blow up. And then, you know, all of a sudden now you have to do the full band stuff again. I think that, you know, just we interviewed a lot of people, and we're working on a lot more interviews where we sit down kind of Netflix style and do, you know, when I chat with them. And I'm basically, even though it's about the band, I'm kind of like the host of the documentary to try to keep everything flowing through. But we interviewed a good friend of mine now, Todd McCarty, which he was the vice president of marketing at Sony for a few years, and or for probably a year actually. But then he was the general manager at Fearless and the general manager at Century Media. And I'd in a year working with him, I paid him for consulting. So I would pay him a little bit every month, and we would do 4 phone calls, an hour phone call long, where we would go over pretty much exactly how he marketed bands from. He was there at Fearless during like the Mayday Parade and Boys Like Girls era and Wage War. He was all the way with Fearless up to Wage War. And he just told us a lot about how labels market bands. And that's really what labels offer, especially in the independent space. They don't have money that they can give you. Half of them don't even offer sign-on bonuses anymore. And it's like, you know, I'm not going to name names, but I know of a record deal that came through with a pretty big record label that they gave them $50,000 to do 5 albums. And it's like, maybe you can record an album for 10 grand. And maybe if you're like us, maybe you can DIY it and pay somebody to master it and stuff. But we've spent years, you know, getting our skills up, and Spencer spent years being a producer. to get to the point where, yeah, we're DIY, but we are handling it at a professional capacity. So that most bands aren't in that case, because that took us 15 years to get to that point. Obviously, there's a lot more hard work from every band we've been in and everything we've done that led up to being able to be as efficient as we are. My first music videos were terrible. You know what I mean? And then you get better at it. Years later, it's like, all right, we can do something that maybe actually looks professional. But yeah, I mean, with labels not offering, any kind of sign-on bonus a lot of times. And then, like you said, I mean, a good deal is a 70-30 split, but most of them are a 90-10 is what they try to get you on. And if they give you that 50 grand or whatever to go record your album, or 5 albums, whatever it is, if they're giving you money to go record it, that comes out of your 10%. So they take 90, off the top. You don't get any bit of that until until it's all cleared or whatever, and then you get your 10%. And it's like a lot of these deals, I don't think they intend to be predatory. There's just a lot of music, and they have a lot of bands they have to sign and release so many albums every year. But then, like you said, I mean, they have control over your music, when you can release it. And I think for a developing band, it's more important than ever for bands to just keep releasing music. And I listened to a great podcast called the Barissimo. It's like a music industry podcast. And there was a girl from, I don't remember her name, but she was from Virgin EMI. And she said that on average, when they looked, that an artist had released 32 songs before they actually blew up to a point where it was like a career. And when you really look at, I think a lot of bands, even like Memphis Mayflower would be a great example. They had their first album, The Hollow, was amazing. But then, I don't feel like they were at a point where it was like, okay, these guys have a career that they can sustain until about their, third album, really. And then it was like, okay, Mayflower is always going to be at a certain level, always going to draw at a certain point. But, and when you really think about it, I feel like that's where bands need to get to. They don't want to just rush songs out, but if you could write 32 solid songs that you really put everything into and drop those, your fans have a lot of music to listen to, and then you'll have grown so much as a musician at that point that you can really write, the best songs. And that's, at the end of the day, I feel like what it's about is writing the best possible songs that you can. Because, I mean, it's all the other business and stuff, that gets in the way. And at the end of the day, though, still, it's all about the songs. Now, the song might not do anything if you don't market it. Obviously, I don't believe that, like, if a song's just amazing, that it's going to innately just go and do millions and millions of streams. Obviously, I think there's a bunch of marketing that goes into that. But I do feel like bands, first and foremost, should be looking at, how does our music sound? How are we writing the best songs possible? Are we working with other writers in that case? Are we getting other opinions? And are we going with, how we feel? Because sometimes your instinct's the best when it comes to writing.
I got to draw
but I think,
a wild parallel to what...
I'm definitely in an industry like that.
I got to draw a wild parallel to exactly what Aiden was saying. So he's doing all this consulting, right? And I've been booking tours and managing bands for like almost 10 years. And there's a band from Detroit called Eva Under Fire. And I was already touring and playing out, and they had hit me up to do all their management and tour booking. And now they're on a huge fucking level. They're over in Europe touring. They've been signed for a few years now. And the funniest part was literally all the shit that I told them that I was trying to do with every band that I was in, they were doing. Granted, they were doing things on a bigger level than what we were, because they actually cared, right? They didn't have that one person or two people, whatever, that were fucking up. So like when we started Poet, like I had that like, okay, we're starting from ground zero. This is where we want to get. Aiden already had all the knowledge of like, hey, this is how we need to market ourselves. Like we want to have all of our all of our photo shoot, flyers, everything is pro as fuck. Like when you see those signed bands, like that's how all their TikToks, their reels, all that shit. And then, Spencer and Cody with the writing and the producing and everything. So it's almost like the perfect 4 individuals crossed paths, and like we all kind of have our thing that we do. And like I said before, like we wear a lot of hats. Like most bands typically have to pay for one or maybe all those services, right? And we're just like, no, we don't have to fucking pay for any of that shit.
Yeah, no, and that's like us. That's like us. I mean, we all wear multiple hats. Clint helps with in-studio and post-production. Andrew helps with, marketing and putting things out on social media, and Clint does too, and then I do the post-production and everything. So it's one of those things where if you're going to form a group, whether it's a band or a podcast or anything, everybody's got to be all in or
On a fizzle way.
exactly. Or it's going nowhere.
Or being more for
You know,
Yeah. And that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, being in a band, it's like, especially, you know, I feel like in a lot of ways, I'm a leader of the group, and, you know, I try to really organize things. And the hardest thing, I think, in any band I've ever been in, the hardest thing is like finding out how to communicate with each other. I mean, it's a relationship too, just like any kind of relationship. And that's the same, like you said, with a podcast or anything. It's like you have to learn to communicate with each other, because some things, you know, you might not mean anything bad by it, but people are just going to take things wrong sometimes. And a lot of times people don't respond well to criticism, and it's like finding ways around that while still getting to the truth and to the point to inspire each other, you know what I mean, to do things. That's probably the hardest part, because I feel like everybody, no matter how well intended they are, always are going to reach a point where they feel a little burnout on something, or they're not as inspired by it. And then if you come out, why the hell ain't you doing this? Then that, you know, turns into bad conversations. I think, you know, we've had a few of those as well. It's not like our band is void of the normal problems, you know what I mean, that bands have. And, you know, we have more in some ways and less in others, you know, with, like I said, I spent years going through film school and just I was doing music videos before I even went to film school, just keeping that going, learning to be better. Spencer had been producing for such a long time, and Cody had been writing for such a long time. Kevin had been booking and stuff like that. So I don't think, you know, I would love to see more bands be more DIY, but that doesn't mean that's the only answer. You know what I mean? There are many ways to do it, and it's okay to obviously pay people to do things if you can afford that. But I think, you know, we spent years to try to get to that professional level, so that we are hired by other people to do those things from other bands. Us to do, you know, me to do music videos, Kevin to do booking, and Spencer to do producing, and Cody writes for other people. And so it's just really, I think, you got to really learn to communicate, and it's okay to do, you know, take other paths. There's 1,000 ways to get somewhere, but I think it's being focused on your fan base. And back to what I was saying with Todd, when we interviewed him, that was what he told me, that I had been under the impression that, look, labels just really give you some money. So there's some monetary value. They can help you afford the things that you can't. But he really opened my eyes to the fact that most of these labels in the independent space don't have that kind of money to give to bands. So what they really offer is their PR team. They can get you in those doors, but then if you don't already have a manager and a booking agent, when you get onto the label, then a lot of times they're not going to do that for you. And that's why you see a lot of bands that just fizzle out after a year or two on the label, because they thought that they were on the label and that was going to do it for them, and that they made it, and that everything was going to happen from there. But if you don't already have a team, you know, you got to work. The label's just there to provide a few resources for you, and then take 70 to 90% of your money. So it's like, why do that, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. And the one thing that I think that helps us the most is me and Andrew have been friends since we were 5 and 6 years old. We've been friends for 30 years. So we already have that relationship where we can, you know, just look at you and be like, hey, you're being a fucking idiot, you know? And then Clint and Andrew have been friends for like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And then, you know, me and Clint became friends. So now it's kind of as we like to call it, a threesome that we have, you know, where we're all three, you know, good enough friends to be able to just call somebody out on their bullshit if we need to. We started podcasting with another podcast. See, like I used to be a youth pastor in the church, and I wanted to do a Christian podcast that divided the lines in between denominations, because like those things I thought were stupid to separate believers from, you know, Jesus Christ.
Agreed.
So I come to Marshall, who had like no experience doing any kind of producer work, but I knew he had the mental ability to, if he immersed himself in it, he could figure it out quick and we could hit the ground running. And I, you know, kind of from the music background, like I knew enough about soundboards and recording and stuff like that, recording albums myself. I was like, we can make this work. We're like the first 2 weeks of getting stuff and trying to work it out, like we were ready to kill each other. Like we were ready to end a 30-year friendship over the fact that we couldn't get it right. So we ended up, I had a buddy that was in the music scene, and he did a lot of booking and stuff with me.
and I called
The same guy that suggested us to you.
yeah, Billy. So we called him because we just could not figure it out. And we called him and he set us down like, and he was like, listen, this is what y'all need. This will get you going. And then like we went and got the equipment, and within 24 hours of having the equipment, Marshall texted me and was like, all right, I figured it out. He was like, I got it. And we hit the ground running. And like he said, what's helped us kind of work is the fact that we knew that was early on.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Marshall's not going to be your, like, as far as merch and designing stuff, like, Marshall's not your guy. He can do it, like, the stuff, like, all the rhythm stuff we put out to promote this, he's done, and he has done a fantastic job. But when it comes to, like, I'm more of, like, the visionary, and he's the execution.
Mm.
Like, I go to him, I have this idea I want to do was, like, with our next merch drop, I told him what I wanted, and he's gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
So it really bounces well because Marshall will come to me, hey, I got this idea, but I just can't get it there. And so I'll take a look at it and put some fresh eyes or ears on it. And like with our usual intro music, we sat down and Marshall, we found the music, and I'm like, all right, I need, from 17 seconds to 34 seconds. I need you to clip that out, bring it out, move this over here. But I don't know how to do that, but I can hear it. So like I'm the ears and he's the hands.
Yeah.
And it just worked. And yeah, I think that's much like what y'all do in the band. Let me ask you guys, so how did the band come to be? Like are all y'all original members?
Yeah, currently.
Yeah.
So I guess I can start with that one because, I got you. But yeah, so basically, me and Cody were in a band called Arm the Witness, and basically that band had went through so many member changes that I had actually joined that band originally in like 2015, but they had been a band since 2013. Every member had quit at some point, and then there was no original members left, basically. But I'd been the singer, so it was kind of a weird situation. I knew I still wanted to be in music, and I liked the direction musically we had went, and we had written a few other songs that were intended to be in that band, which were Miss Misery and A World of Confusion. And I think one of them we never actually did anything with past that. But we basically knew that we wanted to form a new band. And I remember Cody called me one day. We were trying to think on some names, and I created a running list of names, and none of them really worked. We had sent them to some other people to see what they thought. And none of them were really clicking. And then he just said to me one day, he said, it'd be cool if we had the poets in the name. And then I was thinking of, the Orphan, the Poet, and there's a few others I'm trying to think of, but there's a few bands that kind of had something similar in there. But then I was like, what if we just called it Poet? Because I could kind of see people chanting that, live or something. He was like, he liked that, but then we obviously can't trademark that. We can't just trademark the word poet. I think there's an entertainment company that had that. I'm a big fan of, there's a band called The Band Camino. And I was like, well, what if we just called it Poet the Band, and that was the actual name, and it kind of just stuck from there. So then Cody had known Spencer.
There goes one of my questions.
Cody, so then, we were able to trademark it, and we actually, it's been like a year we've been waiting to get approval because they tried to say that we couldn't use the band as an identifier for a trademark. But they finally ruled in our favor because Paul McCartney has a band called The Band, and that's trademarked. So if they can do that, I think they looked at it eventually. They were like, all right, well then we can rule in y'all's favor for that to get that. But basically from there, we were trying to find members. We had Miss Misery written, and we had recorded it with Cameron Mazel, who does like Memphis Mayfire, Sleeping with Sirens, and he's done a bunch of things like that. He did their original albums. He was at Chango Studios, if y'all ever heard of that. But basically we had done Miss Misery with him, and we had started working on World of Confusion, and we're just trying to find all the members. And Cody had done a cover with Spencer, and Spencer randomly hits him up one day and asked him if he wanted to do another cover. And Cody said, well, hey, I'm starting a new band. Would you be interested in, playing guitar or bass for that? And he was in A War Within at the time. Which he still is, but I guess a lot of the members, maybe it was one of those situations where Spencer was doing everything. And so he decided to join up with us. And then we basically, we started working with him. We wrote some of the songs with him, and then he knew Kevin. So we actually ended up basically meeting Kevin through Spencer, and Spencer brought him in.
So
then half of us
hold on,
are in
Aiden, real
Austin
quick.
State, Tennessee.
So I
Yeah.
met Spencer in 2011, right? And then I randomly hit him up on Facebook one day because I was doing a like Southern rock country thing, and I was like, I need some metal in my life. So I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, what's War Within up to? And he's like, shit, man. He's like, I'm working on this new thing. Are you in? Like, I'll send you some shit. Let me know. So he sent me Miss Misery. I listened to like 30 seconds of it. I was like, boom, I'm in. We all hopped on a few phone calls, and then like 2 weeks later, we were down in North Carolina shooting the fucking music video. So it was just super bizarre, though, when we were driving down originally to like for my first time meeting them. Spencer and I were literally on a call like the whole 9 hours down, and I was like, "You don't remember meeting me in 2011, don't you?" And he's like, "Oh, you know." So I pulled up a fucking picture from this festival that I got with him. I'm like, "You don't remember this?" Because he was acting like this was the first time we ever hung out or like met, and then it was just so wild. We shot the Misery music video, and there's this other these other podcast or whatever. They actually sponsored our tour, local band Smokeout, and BG's one of the guys on there. He's like, man, you could tell like these guys, they get along really well. You could see how cohesive they are. And I'm like, bro, when we shot that music video, none of us had ever played together. It was my first time meeting Aiden and Cody.
It was weird how good it felt.
That's a good sign, though.
Yeah, it felt really good when we were there.
Like if y'all, if you can fake that camaraderie right out the gate and then just build it as it goes, like that's something not a lot of people can do. So speaking of that, my question is, how does practice work being in two different places? I don't know, like if y'all practice from two different places, but I know that y'all all are not from the same, geographical location. So how do y'all manage to practice with each other in two different places?
So, I mean, basically, to be honest, honestly, we don't practice a ton. Like if we have shows or something coming up, we'll get together for a few days, 4 days, 5 days or something before, and we'll practice every day. But we really only did that once before we went out on tour. I think it might have been our first show, not even before we went out on tour. We did it before the Savage Hand show, which was our first show ever. And then Spencer, basically, we all wear in-ears. So we all have the tracks and stuff like that, and the metronomes all coming through our ears. So basically, if I want to fully practice to where I can hear myself, then I can hook into my interface and I can throw the track that he sent me, which is exactly what our set is. It's the same thing that's played on the MacBook every night. So all the tracks are there minus the mic stuff like the drums and the vocals. So then I can plug that into my interface and I can actually record to that, practice to that just like I would hear it in my ears. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much the only ways we do it. And if we have to get together, but I think we practice a lot on our own. Eventually, we hope to practice real time. Spencer will record me real time through something called Audio Movers. So he can send a high quality signal from my mic, and then he can capture it in Pro Tools or Reaper on his end and actually record it with his own plugins, VSTs and stuff. But for a full band, the latency would be way too much. So it'd be kind of impossible right now where technology is for us to all four hook up to an interface and then remote share our computer to him and do it that way and log into that plugin. But it definitely works for one or two people at a time. The latency's not that terrible. But yeah, if we were doing multiple, there's so many factors, internet speed, all that kind of stuff would come into play there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, really, that's honestly about it. We haven't played, even a ton of shows or anything yet. So before the tour, we were going to get together, but we weren't really able to. And the tour was a practice for us in a lot of ways, and our set's pretty replicatable. But I mean, that was, we knew that we were going to get the time in then, and past what we had done on our own, it was definitely way too much money for us to try in time to try to drive 9 hours.
Oh yeah, I imagine.
And you know what I mean? Or 18 hours there and back twice a month. So then we just kind of try to do it that way. And do it on, sing on our own and just practice a lot. I'm sure that Kevin just plays along to the tracks or however you do it at times.
Yeah, I mean,
Just try to, practice on our own in our own time. And then when it comes together, we've all been doing this for so long that, we just kind of are able to link up after the 1 or 2 songs and we're good.
The whole method of like getting together with the guys twice, 3 times a week to write and record. If there's anything this band has showed me, that's such an outdated and fucking horrible way to do it. Because half the time you're hanging out.
I feel like such a fool now.
Well, no, because like you're hanging out, you're smoking your cigarettes, smoking weed, drinking beers. Like you're actually really not that focused, and you're hey, would this be
absolutely.
cool? So like when Spencer and Cody had all the songs like kind of hashed out, they'll even program the drums and they'll send them to me, and then I usually just mute the drums and then I start, okay, what do I want to do here? What do I want to do there? And then I'll go to the studio and I'll record the drums. So like when I go into the studio, I'm playing what I want to fucking play, more or less. There's some parts that I leave because they're just so well written how Spencer and Cody write them. But I always try to find a way to put my flavor on it. So for me, it's not practice. It's actually just like, it's almost just getting into game form at that point. And then all of us do that. So like when we go and play live, like we have the click, we have the fucking tracks. It's like, unless you're out of shape or out of practice, there's really no reason for you to not be able to perform. Now, Aiden, on the other hand, his instrument is his voice. So if he fucks that up, you can't go to Guitar Center and buy a new one. So that's a different story. But for most
you can
of
go
us,
to Sweetwater though and get them vocal lozenges.
Nice. Hey, listen, Tylenol, sore throat, the liquid.
Yeah.
We actually, a band I was in, we had gotten a new singer because I had come down with laryngitis and could not sing.
Yeah.
And I was downing a bottle of that like every 3 hours, just trying to soothe my voice enough to get through a show. And then finally, after about actually, no, it wasn't laryngitis. It was bronchial pneumonia is what it was. It was walking pneumonia.
Yeah.
And I after about a month and a half of it not subsiding, I was like, I went to our other guitarist. I played guitar and sang. And I went to our other guitarist because he played in the band before we got together. And he had a singer he played guitar and sang, but he wasn't that great of a guitarist. Like I was leaps and bounds ahead of him at guitar, but he was a better clean singer than I was. So we ended up approaching him because I kind of stole their guitarist from them and they weren't really doing anything. And I come to him, I was like, hey man, I don't know when my voice is going to come back. And honestly, I'm tired of waiting. I was like, do you mind coming in and being the singer? And we ended up going from a 4-piece like screamo band to a 5-piece metal band, just adding him because he come in with some sick screams to where when my voice did here, I was like, you don't even need me at this point. Like I'm just going to chill back and focus on shredding. And so I get when your voice is thrashed, like it's not as easy as breaking a string and then switching out your guitar real quick. Like you're pretty much fucked unless you can fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And unless you want to go the Britney Spears route and lip sync, which no real fucking musician ever wants to do that.
No, yeah.
So I respect the fuck out of singers because throat pain is a pain that I would never wish upon my worst enemy. And Clint will agree with that because he was a screamer for a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is terrible. I've blown my fucking vocals before. I can't scream anymore. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's
so
that.
I commend
yeah,
y'all.
Aiden was basically
I grew up
like a mute for one day.
Yeah. Well, you ever watched The Zen Screaming, Melissa Cross?
Yeah.
That I kind of
I couldn't.
I'm just saying, yeah, I kind of started with that, and that I feel like got me in the right direction when I started screaming that I could somewhat do it and not hurt my voice. And then eventually I got to a point, and then I stopped for 2 or 3 years, like I said, and was just singing. When I came back into it with Poet, there was definitely some times where I was like, all right, I got to kind of relearn my technique there because I'm going to really hurt myself. And that's, I don't want to be coughing up blood or anything like that. I don't ever want to go to a point where I have to have vocal surgery. And I say this all the time too, but I feel like a big problem with rock and metal is that, and really a lot of pop music too, but the stuff that they write is not technically, how you should be singing. So then it's built off bad technique. So then when people listen to a lot of rock music, they're like, I love this. And then they try to write their own music, or they're doing something similar. They don't even realize that they're going to do something that could cause a lot of damage later in life. If you're touring 200 days a year or something, it's okay when you're in the studio and you do that. But when you get, hundreds of days a year that you're doing, you're going to blow out your voice too many times, and you're going to be in a position like Noah from Bad Omens, or Chad Kroeger from Nickelback, or Jacoby from Papa Roach. I mean, they've all had. I think Noah maybe just had one vocal surgery now, but they're fresh into it. But Papa Roach, Nickelback, I mean, those guys have had numerous vocal surgeries, and you wouldn't expect that from bands like them, because they're like your typical old school kind of active rock, but whatever people want to call it. But
They're your dad rock bands.
Yeah, but then you get.
Where did y'all stand on Nickelback? Where do y'all stand with Nickelback as a band?
I mean, I grew up on Nickelback, so like I love Nickelback. I will listen to Silver Side Up constantly. I mean, I respect them as a band too. I mean, I think that they've done a lot. A lot of people hate on them, but I feel like they do. I feel like they've always written good songs. Maybe not. Maybe so. I feel like some of them are fillers, like you were talking about with others. I mean, I try to jam some of their stuff whenever it comes out, but definitely the old albums. I mean, I grew up on it. That was what I knew before I got into heavy music and started listening to like Whitechapel and I Killed the Prom Queen and stuff. That was like that's what I thought rock was Linkin Park and Nickelback and
I Killed the Prom Queen. I ain't heard that name in a long time. Holy shit.
Talking about fucking Pandora the other day.
Yeah. Now I might have to go and listen to them on the way home. I forgot about them.
No, yeah. That was
Kevin, what's your stance?
I mean, dude, they're highly successful. I mean, if I was to do anything in that realm to get there, I'd be like, fuck it, I'll do it. I will say, Finn McKenzie pointed it out on one of his videos the other day. Their older shit had some very questionably predatory lyrics that are pretty.
Yeah, wholeheartedly. Yeah. What is it? The one lyric where he's talking about her hitting her knees. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I saw a live concert of theirs on Sirius TV or something like that. And hold on, don't look at me like that. My brother-in-law was like, because I used to hate on Nickelback, even though I secretly liked them. But I would hate on them because that's what everybody did,
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law was like, "Have you ever watched them live?" And I was like, "No, I've never gone to a Nickelback concert." He was like, "Fuck going to the concert. Have you ever just watched them live?" And I was like, "No." Well, then he put that up on Sirius TV. I'd never seen more fucking titties in my life. So they're doing some live of girls or something. They're taking their fucking shirts off. And I gotta admit, them live sounds just like the fucking album. Like they are. Ever since then, like as a musician, I was like, it would be blasphemous for me not to acknowledge the respect that they are due, because they're they're hitting it. Yeah. I mean, at their age, because they're probably all in their 40s now, and they're still out there rocking like they're still in their fucking 20s. I'm 35, and I couldn't imagine fucking going out.
I couldn't fucking do that anymore.
They're Sample True Metallica.
To be honest, I think they're in their 50s. I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah, I think Chad Kroeger's like 50 something. I think I want to say that I had read before that they weren't even. I mean, Nickelback's been a band for a long time. I think since like 1992 or something, they did like demos and stuff, or it might have been even earlier than that. They're a prime example. I feel like of when people say like 10-year overnight success. I feel like Nickelback wasn't really that big until early 2000. They really blew up. But then, I mean, they were a band that did work hard. I mean, for years before that. And I think maybe that's why they become such a meme, is because they've been around for so long. But they're not like Metallica that everybody looks at as like being extremely instrumentally savvy and like, really talented. They look at this, they're just writing songs that are catchy. Yeah. And I don't know if they approach them in a way that the lyrics mean a lot to them, but it seems like they kind of just write songs that are feel-good rock songs, party rock songs. And, maybe they pick a few things that seem, more about specific subjects, but they definitely are more on the pop realm, I feel like, of rock.
AIDEN, they did have a song called Put It in Your Mouth, so that's all.
I feel like if I was going to write a new song, I would have to do a song called Put It in Your Mouth.
Yeah. Wait, hey, I got an idea. No, that doesn't be what that mouth do.
Yeah, I know it. I ask my wife that quite often, actually. Jeez. But no, I will go on record and say that Hero with Chad Kroger and the dude from Saliva is one of the best fucking rock ballads of our generation. I don't give a fuck who you are. That was a beautifully written fucking song.
No.
And it was, I don't give a fuck who you are. That is one of my top 10 favorite songs of all time.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that. Clint, you fucking ad. My thoughts you're gay. Whatever. I'm just saying. Hey, real quick, let me ask y'all, so I can get confirmation to these two cock gobblers. 35 is not too old to start a pop punk band, is it?
No, of course not.
No.
Thank you.
And that's what this
Thank
whole
y'all.
documentary
I
is
didn't
about.
say you were too ahead. We said you were too out of shape.
No, I can do it. So I started playing bass for my band or for my church band, and I went and bought an old P bass like I had when I was a teenager, and I was playing a bunch of punk rock music, and it sparked. I wanted to start playing pop punk band because it's fun, you know, and it's I don't have to be so technically proficient, and I could just have fun with it. Well, I brought it to the table with these two ass clowns, looking for some just moral support from my brothers, and come to them, and I was serious. I was like, is 35 too old to start a pop punk band? And both of them were like, yes. And I was like, you know what? Fuck you.
For you.
No, it's not. I can do it.
To plug, not to just shamelessly plug the documentary again, but that's kind of what it's really all about. Is because
That's what you're here for, man. Don't knock it.
Yeah,
I
on
just
that
don't
shit, man.
believe
If you're gonna plug it.
Yeah, there you go. But I mean, that's
Get
the
David Marshall. Give us a fucking bottle opener.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think
Sorry, we're having a beer crisis.
no, you're totally good. But yeah, I feel like really there's no age that's too late to do some type of music or to follow any kind of dream, and that's probably the core of what it's about. I think just you really want.
He turned his beer off so he could go grab another beer.
Hey, I got
What?
you.
$10 bucks. Oh no, he's talking about
Yep.
Hey, don't worry, man. You'll see us randomly get up and just grab a beer. We have no
sure
shame in our
a
game.
second ago, I might have to do the same thing.
I was trying to be sneaky about it, but I don't think I can.
Oh, fuck that. We own it. Well, yeah. We're drinkers, and everybody that watches our podcast knows it.
Hey,
If
that's
I'm
always,
not drunk by the end of the podcast, it's not a good time.
there you go.
It wasn't a good episode. Oh, man.
So, Clint, do you want to ask a question? We've kind of shoved you out of the whole thing. Oh, man, I'm just here to push buttons. All right, good, because I didn't want you asking anything anyway.
I do got to say, as many times as you mentioned Memphis May Father, you know that band started in Fort Worth, Texas, right? Like, I
No.
think Kellen is the only original member left.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Matt is not the original singer.
No.
The original singer was a guy named Johnny, and they were from Fort Worth, Texas. And we actually, the band I played in, played with them. Not only, they started out as a band called Oh Captain, My Captain.
Yeah.
And then they went on hiatus, and my band played the Widgley Music Fest, and I'm shamelessly gonna name drop. We played with like Vanna and Pierce Lavelle before they were what they are now.
Yeah. Vanna's great.
So Memphis May 5 was setting up, and we had played with Oh Captain, My Captain a lot of times, and the other guitarist in my band, he was like, those guys look like Oh Captain, My Captain. And Kellen was like, we were Oh Captain, My Captain. And then that's when they debuted as Memphis May Fire. And we played quite a few shows with them before they hit that level. And then Johnny left, Sam, the other guitarist, left. And then through the years, the bass player and the drummer left, and they replaced them. But if Kellen is still in the band, I haven't really kept up with them so much lately, but if Kellen's still in the band, he is literally the only original member left in Memphis May Fire.
Yeah, as far as I know, I don't know if he still plays with them, but I think he does. But Cameron Mazelli, so the guy he did the first 3 albums actually with them. They basically, I know that he still works with them, and he actually still does all the vocals with Maddie. So like Kellen does all the production, and I believe he mixes everything. Still, but then they'll still use Cameron to go and do all the vocals on the stuff, just because I think that Cameron excels at a lot of different things, but vocally I think is one of probably his favorite spots to be. And That's probably what he still works on the most these days for bands like Sleeping with Sirens or Memphis. They kind of come in to do vocals, you know what I mean, a lot, and then somebody inside the band's kind of producing everything. But as far as I know, I think it's still at least in the writing process and in the production process.
Yeah. See, every time, like, you kept mentioning Memphis May 5, and I was like, I wonder if because a lot of people don't know that band did originate in Fort Worth, Texas, because Kellen was the only original member left, and all those guys are from all over now.
Yeah.
But they don't, I don't even think they claim Fort Worth anymore.
As far as I'm aware, they claim on their Facebook page, they say started in Fort Worth.
Okay.
Yeah. Fort Dallas area.
Yeah, like, I just got to brag, like, Fort Worth music scene back in the early 2000s was one of the grittiest fucking music scenes out there. And I heard, like, the scenes kind of died over the years. But, man, we had a lot of awesome bands come out of there. I don't know if you ever know the band Artist versus Poet.
Oh, yeah. That's the band I was trying to think of a second ago. When I said the Orphan, the Poet, and I was trying to think of that second band, that's the band I was trying to think of.
Yeah, so Tarsi Thomason, rest in peace, was their original singer, and he passed.
Yeah.
But he was a really good friend of mine, and we actually played in bands not together, but he was in a band called Enter the Collector. And we shut out so many shows with those guys, and he went on, him and I forget what the original member of Artists versus Poet, because they started out as an acoustic duo. But they fucking they made it happen. Artist versus Poet was a really good band too. But I just want to give a little Memphis May 5 history real quick.
Yeah. No,
I just wanted to fucking name drop.
Yeah, I did.
I've done a tour with those guys. Actually, I believe that they were on that. We randomly in my old band won a spot on the like Motel 6 Rock Yourself to Sleep tour. Which was like a random thing they did for a small amount of time. You didn't even get Motel 6 rooms for whatever reason, but they sponsored it. They did other than put their logo on it, but basically it was.
Well, they didn't want y'all to leave the light on.
Yeah. I think on that, I feel like, I feel it was Dance Gavin Dance was the headliner, but it was literally right after Johnny Craig had gotten kicked out, and Tillian was in it, but Tillian was singing.
Dance Gavin Dance. That's another Fort Worth band. Yeah, it's another Fort Worth band.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that they were from there, too. So that's where y'all are at, is Fort Worth?
Yeah, we're just south of Fort Worth.
Oh, okay.
But, like, in that music scene, if you claim the smaller, like, we're from a town called Kleber, which is about 45 minutes south, and there's only, like, 30,000 people in the town.
Yeah.
And so it's like, say, if you live in fucking a suburb of Tucson, you can't say you live in the suburb. Nobody's going to fucking know where it is.
Yeah, so you just naturally claimed Fort Worth because it was the one town that when you went on the road, everybody knew.
Yeah.
So, or in some cases, you would claim Dallas because even Fort Worth, being a metropolitan town, a lot of people don't live Fort Worth, but
they know the DFW.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere and say Dallas, and somebody be like, well, where's Dallas? You know, everybody knew where Dallas was, so as a smaller local band in a bigger scene, you typically would claim Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys, like Artists versus Poet, they were actually from a town called Midlothian, but they couldn't claim it, so they claimed Dallas.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're from that area.
Yeah, Michigan's the same.
That's our
way.
problem. I feel like in Johnson City is that most people don't know it. They're starting to a little more just because that song Wagon Wheel, but really the closest thing to us is like Knoxville, and most people know Knoxville, but then Knoxville is about 2 hours away. So it's like, we never felt like we could really claim Knoxville because of that, because it's a little bit too far away. But then, we're in this area.
It's just outside the claim area.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't claim anything outside an hour of your
exactly.
geographical designation.
Well, and then Michigan's the
which
complete
weirdly
opposite
we're in
of
the
it
border,
because like
so.
no one's gonna know any other town except Detroit because of Detroit Rock City. So it's like unless you're in Flint or like Grand Rapids.
I'm gonna grab a beer too real quick, guys, and I'll be right back.
Most people are like, "Oh yeah, Detroit."
All right, now that he's gone, who's got the biggest ego?
Honestly, I think all of us are pretty good in check. There's really not any egos, to be completely honest. We try to do the best we can and have fun doing it, man.
I didn't realize he didn't have to go that far to grab over here. I thought we want more time to really, because so we used to have a thing we always called lead singer syndrome. You know, the lead singer was always the diva back in the days, even though, like in some cases, you know, the diva wasn't that prevalent, but you still. So we were trying to get some inside scoop from Kevin, and we kind of ruined that. And we're trying to see how much of a diva you were. I was going to say if you would out you.
I would say it
Aiden's
depends.
far
Pretty
from a
much,
diva.
like I'm a diva about certain things. What would you say? Kevin?
See,
I mean, yeah, I guess. So when you say a diva about certain things, it's because he wants things done really, really professionally. Like if you can tell from all the production quality, if that's him being a diva, then sure. But I would much rather have someone want like that high level shit.
There's a difference between being a diva and a douche.
listen, me and Clint actually played in a band together, a couple bands actually.
Bands, yeah.
And I always got a bad rep because I was such a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And so, like, if we were practicing, because we were in the time when we were bands to where you actually got together 2-3 times a week and wrote together and stuff like that, because, you know, we're talking 2007, 2008, when you couldn't just hop on and send each other tracks and stuff like that.
Plus, we were always drunk or high and could barely remember any of our songs.
Yeah,
True.
but I was always a perfectionist, you know, like I didn't set like a no drug policy in the band, but I wanted everybody to practice sober. That way, because in my mind, you know, we all come from different areas of the Metroplex. I was like, listen, we're getting together. I don't need us fucking off. Like, this is the time that we have to write, to get this shit down, because we might practice on a Wednesday and we have a show Saturday. Well, we're not gonna touch base on this material until Saturday, so we need to hammer this in. And they always gave me a bad rep because they said I was an asshole and I was a douche, as he liked to put it. But I was just a perfectionist, and I needed, you know, things done in this time, so then we could fuck off.
No,
And
that's
I
far
get a
from a
bad
diva.
rep.
My idea of a diva is the
Thank
one
you.
where you need to make sure your singer has their in-ears and their microphone. The only two things they fucking need to perform while you're and you've got a huge ass kit, right?
And have it himself.
But no, like
Yeah.
Aiden takes care of all the merch. Like when we get done playing, he's at the merch table signing shit. Like he'll come find us, like, hey guys, I need you to sign this, that, and the other. So, like I said, man, we all have our roles, right? And we know them, but like, you know, Aiden will be like, hey Spencer, do you need help getting the live rig off the stage? You know, like we just, there's no need for it. We've been doing this long enough. None of us have made it successful, so we know, like, fuck it. Like, there's no sense in being a diva or trying to expect shit.
Yeah.
You don't have a guy that just wants a certain color of M&Ms.
I get that. I get that. And that's one thing, like, in all of our bands, we were always so good about, you know, because, like I said, again, it was the time period. We didn't have the amp processors, you know, like the Kempers and stuff like that, where you could literally one-hand load your whole equipment there.
Yeah.
You know, we were half-stack days, you know, in some cases full stacks. And we were all pretty good about helping each other load in. Even our singer, you know, his mic and everything he needed was in a little fucking messenger bag over his back. But you would see him helping one of us carry in our headless 412, or, you know, we would all help the drummer set up his kit. We actually had a Billy. He would come to every show, and his deal was he would help us load in.
He was our fucking drum tech.
Yeah, he would help us load in, and all he would ask was we would put him on the guest list. So we would get him free, and he was the only one that knew exactly the specific place that our drummer wanted his kit, like cymbal placement and everything. So we would load in drums, and he would be back there setting up the kit for, you know, with our drummer helping him. And so I go, you know, working together, that is, you know, that helps. Because let's be honest, hypothetically, if you were loading in your kit all by yourself and you see Aiden over there just kind of sipping booze and bullshit with people, like over time,
Thumbs up. You got this.
yeah, like over time that would irk you because you're like, what the fuck, bro? Like, you know, help me. And so if you have somebody so willing to jump in different areas and be like, go handle the merch table, you know, because in a lot of cases, you know, you don't hire merch people to sell your merch. You're back there slinging it, or your girlfriends or wives or anything are back there slinging it while you're getting set up. So to have somebody who's like, hey, I'm gonna go hang the merch. Let me know if you need anything, or like you were saying, you know, he comes back there and helps you unload the live kit, stuff like that. Like that's stuff that helps subside egos and really deters being arguing that's unnecessary.
Mhm.
You know, of course, you know, like Aiden had said earlier, you know, nobody's exempt from arguing. There's 4 or 5 brothers in a band, so you're gonna fight like brothers sometimes. But it's the way you have conflict resolution, and the way that you are open and able to talk yourselves out of it without somebody getting pissed and like, well, fuck it, I'm out. You know, like that. And like you said, your age shows a lot. I mean, y'all are all in your 30s, so you don't have the ego and stuff like that.
You're not gonna make stupid decisions and say stupid things like you would when we were fucking teenagers, early 20s.
Yeah, like 18, 19, you're like, fuck it, I can have a new band next week.
No,
You know, yeah, I have the same common goal. Like, well,
You can hit up Craigslist.
yeah, fucking Craigslist, bro.
no, I mean,
Go to Guitar Center and be like, I'm the first dude not playing fucking Stairway to Heaven, and like, you want to join a band?
it's funny because I feel like, yeah, like what you said. When I was younger, I would have been arguing with my bandmates, but like, I want to go over here and party and have a good time, you know what I mean? And be arguing about just like things that obviously are immature and unimportant when it comes to running a business. And then now our arguments are like, all right, do we want to invest the money we're making, or are we going to put it into advertisement? Well, super boring arguments that are, we're all adults now. So,
Yeah,
but it's better, you know?
those are good arguments
Yeah.
to have.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, anybody would rather have those arguments than talk about how, you know, hypothetically, I'm just going to make up a name, how fucking Cletus's girlfriend won't shut her fucking mouth about everybody, and she's over there flirting, so now Cletus is off his fucking game, and he's set the whole mood. Like, those arguments are fucking stupid. The next thing you know, Cletus's girlfriend's being called Yoko.
We had many
Yeah.
Cletus.
Yeah, and then with Yoko. Yeah. I say that, we joke. We call Marshall has a girlfriend, lovely girl. I love Yoko to death, but
She's here, so you better not talk shit.
bringing her in, like when we started dating her, I started calling her Yoko, you know, joking that she's trying to break up the band.
Yeah.
And it's a
nickname that's stuck.
yeah, it's a nickname that's stuck, and she owns it. She'll answer to it and everything. But our drummer had a girlfriend back in the day that was a real fucking Yoko.
And guitarists had many of them.
Yeah, so, but yeah, that, you know, investing money and stuff, like, that's such an adult argument to have that, like, I would rather have those than anything. Me and Marshall, seriously, we tried LLC and this whole thing and starting a production company, and those were, like, simple arguments that we were, not arguments, I would call them more debates, but, like, it's good conversation. Yeah, it's such a mature argument to have, and it goes to show, like, you guys have been in the business long enough, and you guys are mature enough in your age and where y'all are in life, really. Y'all aren't letting stupid shit fucking.
You want to know the
deter
one
y'all anymore.
nicest thing? Like, I've never been in a band where like they had the load in be like 3 p.m. kind of shit. So you got to take your sweet ass time, do a proper sound check. Like almost every single
Yeah.
night of that run and all the other shows that we've done, they're like, yeah, load in's at 3, like this, that. And I'm like, fuck, dude, we got all this time to fucking get shit set up how we want. Like, it truly felt like pro as fuck. So then, like, we're not having to worry about Aiden rushing to set up merch. We're not having to worry about this. We're not having to worry about that. So while it did make for a long day, it just all in all felt like, damn, like we're doing this pro as fuck. So it was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember load-ins at fucking 7, you're on stage at 8.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
us too, we're not even
and that's cool.
cabinets either. So we have literally one rig that Spencer has just ingeniously put together and figured out. And he does handle a lot of like that stuff when it comes to. I mean, I could not tell you anything about which cables go where for the
They're
person that's
labeled.
running the PA for the night. But he knows all that. He's got them labeled, and it's good. I will say there's
My buttons are labeled.
yeah, it's like 1,000 pounds though, so it's sort of like, all right, if you maybe it's better than having the cabinets, but then at the same time you see a big set of stairs and you're like, shit, we got to get all 4 people on this. or we're
Yeah.
can't take this thing down. It's really, really heavy, but
Spencer
makes
claims
setup
it's
and everything a lot
250.
easier, other than drums.
Spencer claims it's 250 pounds. I call bullshit on that all day.
It's only fucking 1050. Now Spencer is the guitarist,
Bass
right?
player and guitar, but
Yeah,
I'm saying he's the basser.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on.
His
He's
guitar-
got a 1,000-pound rig, and he's a
So
fucking
hold
bass
on.
player?
The rig itself is a giant rolling case that has 2 Kempers, all of our in-ears, like a fucking like literally,
okay.
you know, you'll see bands on tour where they'll have like 3 or 4 of these big cases. It's one big motherfucker,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Okay, so it's not just his setup. It's
Yep. So literally,
Yeah,
when we
every-
send
yeah,
over
everything's in it.
our like our stage map, like literally they're like, okay, we have 2 microphones and then that and then the drums. Like there's no amps, there's no other shit. They're like we.
Yeah.
I've actually had a few venues that were like, wait, you guys don't have amps? And I'm like, no, like we have a live rig. Here's the setup. And they're like, well, we don't know if we can do this. I'm like, you just had the Browning play there like 6 months ago. Yes, you can. Fucking setup.
Yeah. Like, do you have a couple of direct inboxes? If you do, you can run this shit. Like, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
I'm
we-
actually, you know, I do a lot of like acoustic stuff and bass stuff for my church now, but I'm about to buy a new electric rig, and I don't have Kemper money, so I'm looking at like the Line 6 Helix, which is just the working man's version of the Kemper.
Yeah.
And it's literally like the way you set it up is one XLR in and then your quarter inch out, and that's so. But okay, we're not gonna land on the bass player so much now that I know that it holds all of those in ears and stuff like that. I mean,
Still the bass player.
hey, don't hit on the bass player. I'm half-assed at bass player again, so don't hit on the bass player.
Which I would say that Spencer's talented, but like, yeah, he plays bass now because it made a little more sense, I think, at the time to have him on bass. And he sings, and then he also has a lot of stage presence. And usually, I feel like the bassist is the guy that has the most. But he also is.
Yeah, it's because he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a guitarist and a singer. He writes a lot of our songs too, or him and Cody will write specifically together. And he came from a band where he was the lead singer in, but he wrote a lot of the music. So it's like he's just fitting that role, you know. But we never know. He might be a guitarist, and he might be playing guitar in a bit. He might switch back and forth.
I've been a bassist before, so I can talk shit.
So,
There you go.
okay, so how many Cody do most of y'all's writing then, right? Because that kind of answers my next question. So then let me switch this way. Do y'all ever see yourselves maybe going to a 5-piece and adding a second guitar, whether it's moving Spencer over to guitar and adding a new bass player, or do y'all have one that just does live with y'all, or what do y'all do?
We've thought about it for sure. I mean, it's kind of up in the air right now, but we've definitely thought about, doing exactly what you said, possibly moving Spencer over and then getting another bassist, or just vice versa. And we've considered maybe just having somebody for live. And then, because we like the brand being us four, and we know that we all, can work well together and can communicate and listen to each other and solve problems. But then sometimes, bringing in that fifth person might change that dynamic a lot. Could be for the better, could be for the worse. So we've kind of
be for the worse.
Maybe if the right person comes along at the right time and it seems like a right fit, then we will. Or if they're, we happen to have the money and can afford to pay somebody, you know what I mean, to just come out and just play as someone just on stage. So I mean, basically,
Hey, listen.
Where we're at with that.
If y'all want to move Spencer to guitar, I'll tell these two to go fuck themselves, and I'll come play bass for them real quick.
I guarantee you, this motherfucker's not going to go cross country to play bass.
I will too.
So
don't worry about that.
We actually had we had 2 tour dates and then the one show with Eva where unfortunately Cody wasn't available. So we literally rocked it as a 3-piece, and the MacBook was our guitar. And the crowd response the crowd response was actually pretty insane. I thought they were going to kind of look at us and go, oh, what the fuck? Like, these guys are a bunch of knuckleheads. But, I mean, realistically, for me, like, from a business perspective, if we were to just move Spencer over to do lead or rhythm guitar and have Cody do whichever one, I'd rather just have the bass be fucking tracks at that point, because exactly what Aiden said, like, if you throw that other person in the mix, like, they could be toxic. They could, there's a lot of variables. You got that MacBook. The MacBook ain't going to talk shit. It's not going to
No.
Only thing it's gonna do is shut the fuck down.
Yeah, and I mean it does. Yeah, and that's a great thing about technology is you could add that element without actually having to add that element, and it doesn't change the dynamic of the band. I was just joking. Just to give these two shit, just let them know
I told you he wouldn't do it.
I'm a free agent at any point. If these two fuck around, they can find out. But no, I get that, and it's easy to track the bass. Let Spencer track the bass on his own. While run it through the Mac and then just keep it that way. And then what I love is with metal is there's not a lot of bands with two guitars that have a distinguished lead and rhythm player. You have a lot of that two guitar harmonic stuff going on. Where both of them, like when I played in the band, we shared lead responsibilities. He took more than I did just because he was better at lead than I was. But I feel that. I mean, is that something you guys have talked about? Is maybe doing that?
Yeah, we've considered it for sure.
It's came up a few times. I mean, when we had the shows where Cody was unavailable, that kind of generated that conversation a little bit more. Just because it's like, hey, we don't really want to have that uncertainty, this, that, and the other. But the funny thing is, full transparency, like Cody was kind of on the outs. Like he said, like, I don't know if I can keep up with everything. So after the tour, we were expecting to have to go find a new guitar player. And me being a booking agent, I can't tell you the number of tours I've booked where that tour either broke the band up or like numbers of those bands like actually quit. And then we get back from tour and Cody's like, well, damn, dude, like we actually made some money. Every show was fucking great. And he was like, I'm down, man. Like, so I was like, Aiden and I were like, hold the phone. Like most of the time this breaks up bands, and we just got a guy that was about to quit to come back. So yeah,
never do that.
Just having to finesse the schedule and, the content and, everyone's got their own things going on. So just being mindful of that goes a long way.
So let me ask y'all a question. Since y'all are doing the band and y'all are apparently just freaking amazing at it. Do y'all have, so technically I guess it's two questions. One, do y'all have like full-time gigs, or is this your full-time gig? And secondly, we were talking a little bit earlier about, the Yokos of the band. Are y'all's, if any of y'all have girlfriends or wives or whatever, do they get along and provide that support for the band itself?
Yeah. I would say, we all have full-time jobs outside of this. My schedule's probably a little less consistent than everyone else's. I pretty much just freelance. I do video work, graphic design, and stuff like that. And I basically run my own video production, a media production company. And then I do things like Instacart, side jobs, like whatever I can do to bring in money. Inflation's crazy.
Yeah.
So, all right, I gotta invest in myself. I gotta make sure that I have money to invest in the band, because until we're making 50 or so grand a year a piece off the band, pretty much we're gonna have everything back into the band. So we all need to be able to pay our own bills and that kind of stuff. But then one lucky thing is that pretty much all three of them work remote. So it's like we can travel, we can go on the road, and like they can work from their computer at a hotel room or something. So that makes things a lot nicer in a lot of those ways.
Must be nice.
Hey, dude, the hotels for tours
for days
was
off
like $500,
like,
man. It was not expensive at all.
Yeah. But you got,
he says that because with my job title, like me and Marshall, actually, both of us, even though we do work in office, because we work for the same company, both of us have a job that, like, I get to work from home. I only work from home 1 day a week, but I'm allowed to work from home 2 days a week. And Clint, he's a mailman. He works for an postal service to work from home. Yeah, so you don't get that luxury. That's why he's being so negative on that. So don't feel bad about your life choices, brother.
Some of us got to be out in the elements all day.
Yeah, we support what you do for a living, because we get to do it too. And it's fucking awesome, and I wouldn't trade it for shit.
Yeah, so Spencer he does like video production and editing, like for his 9 to 5. So yeah, he's remote, and then Cody and myself, we're both in IT, and we're both remote. So yeah, and actually, I'm in the process of actually moving down to Tennessee. So basically more than likely Spencer will be shortly behind. So we'll actually be able to do all those things we were shitting on earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to not have to do it, but it's also nice to
too.
yeah. If y'all want to get together and be like, hey, let's just go old school for a night. Let's sit down, grab a couple of acoustics,
Yeah.
write some shit out, and fucking it's good to be able to do that because I'm from that generation, so I'm biased towards it.
Hey, some of our best songs were wrote when we were smashed.
Yeah, like it's fucking awesome, but I also I agree with y'all. The convenience of being able just to send each other tracks and doing it at your convenience and be able to have, and I don't want y'all to take this, but a life outside of the band. It's good to be like, you know what, I got the track. Or fucking, Kevin, I don't know if you have an electric kit, but you just have at the house. I'm assuming you do. Just for neighbor's sake.
Well,
or
I
something like
actually,
that.
I actually
Shake
just
his
bought
head,
an
yes.
e-kit because I'm doing everything MIDI on the next.
Okay.
But dude, like I've jammed late as fuck here, and none of my neighbors said shit. I don't know if it's because like the bass is really well insulated, or the neighbors are just old and can't hear. But never.
You have a house or apartment? Oh, well, fuck you.
He's got a fucking chimney. Oh, he's got a house.
Apartment. I had an apartment in Bedford that had a fucking chimney. Go far. Whoa,
Calm down, Richie Rich.
Yeah, you clock gobbler. Shut up. Just because not I was living a fucking trailer.
Hey, it's a mobile domicile.
Don't call it a domicile.
Hey, I grew up in a trailer park.
We all did.
Hey, we all been there.
We're a dom. Yeah.
Oh no, it's an actual RV.
Yeah, but we all agree the word domicile is fucking weird as fuck, and it gives off Jeffrey Dahmer vibes, does it not? Like when you refer to your house as a fucking domicile, like you might as well be Bill Cosby and motherfucking bitches in the bar and coming back in Domino. And that, like, every time he says the word fucking domicile, like as soon as he got the RV, that was the first thing he referred it to. And me and Marshall both looked at him like, who in the fuck did we just hire? Like,
It needs to go.
Hire you fucking pay me.
It needs to go
it's
on your
still higher.
profile. You need to put on your Tinder profile. Come hang out in my domicile.
God damn it.
Hey, Joe. Well, okay. So you say that, but we actually created Clint a Tinder profile, and by goddamn, I wish we would have fucking taken a picture of that to put on there. God, dude, how did I miss that? Because I wrote his whole Tinder bio for him.
Yeah.
And I made him sound like the dumbest, douchiest motherfucker I could. Because our whole objective, because he was single at the time, we wanted to make him the most appalling person on Tinder. So I went balls to the wall, and at no point did the word domicile ever cross my mind.
And I still got more matches than my actual profile.
Yeah, we did get more matches than his actual profile. So in all actuality, we should have just reposted his another profile because that's more repelling than apparently the bullshit that I spewed on Tinder for him. So now talking about each of you individually and then as a band, whoever wants to go first can pick up this question. But how about this? What? Kevin, we want you to go first this time. No offense, Aiden. Kevin's just been sitting there getting drunk with us. I want to hear him say something. Okay. So, yeah, we'll go that out. All right. So, what are your influences individually, but then your influences as a band as a whole?
So my influences individually, I mean, I started off being into like punk, like NoFX, Blue Meanies, Goldfinger, fucking just all sorts of shit back in the day. Then I was into like a huge Dave Matthews like stint for a while, Brian Setzer Orchestra.
Respect it, motherfucker.
Just all over the board, really.
Yeah. Don't hate on it, okay?
Fucking stand.
Listen, Bill Matthews has one of the most fucking awesome drummers out there, and he does not get hardly any recognition. Fuck you.
Carter's insane. Like, I learned so much just from, like, I had the VHS tapes of, like, that whole fucking album. And the song number 41, I remember, like, literally having fucking dreams of that song, of me playing it. Like, because there's so many elements to it, and they did, like, a 21-minute version of it live, and I downloaded it on Napster. I just wanted to
calm down,
play it with tea. But, like, when I was in college, Actually, right before I went to college, I was really.
That got Aiden. That got Aiden. Yeah. Oh, sorry, that got Aiden. I saw him start laughing immediately. He put that on the wall. I don't know if you heard on Kevin, but he said, "Calm down, Freebird."
No, so I started getting back into metal because I was into like new metal, like Limp Bizkit, Korn, like back in the day, and
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
all of us were. Yeah, you don't get into the metal nowadays without being into them.
It was
first.
always
Oh, yeah.
there, but like stylistically and from I just enjoyed playing like a ton of different shit, right? But then like I think I was in like a freshman in high school. My brother took me to see Thursday, and from Ashes.
Hell yeah.
And then I went to Ozfest. I saw Avenged Sevenfold with Bless the Fall, Atreyu before the Rev died, and just got
Hell
really
yeah.
back into it hardcore. But like, I mean, from a drumming perspective, like August Burns Red, I fucking love them. Shit.
Now you're talking on
Yeah,
Arcus.
Architects, Bless
Now
the
you-
Fall. I mean, Shadows Fall, Kill Switch. Like, there's so many insanely good bands, and like all of their drummers, like Devil Wears Prada. You know, the list goes on and on and on. Like all their drummers
Yeah,
are just like uber talented. They all kind of have their own thing, and I don't know. I literally just listen to absolutely fucking everything. Like Lorna Shore, like Archie's fucking disgustingly amazing on drums. Like it makes me want to quit because of how. But I'm just honestly like literally now all I listen to is metal. Like that's just what I love. From a band perspective, I think Cody, Aiden, and Spencer all have their own little elements they throw into it. And then from a drumming perspective, like I said, they'll send the program drums and like I'll tweak shit, but more often than not, it's like fills and maybe a few little like integral pieces here. But like the meat and potatoes of it, I'm usually like, damn, this is perfect for it. So it makes my job easier, not gonna lie.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. All right. What about you, sir?
So influences, right? That's the question. Yeah, what are influences?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's hard for me because I listen to such a wide variety of stuff, and being a singer, it's like I feel like I go through phases at times too, where I'm like really got 6 months here, I'm just jamming this style of music a lot, and then I'll switch up. I would say that one of my favorite bands of all time is The Doors, even though you probably can't hear that really, the influence in my music a lot. But bands that really just made a big impact on me, I think, was stuff like The Doors growing up, Motley Crue. Then I got really into Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park. I mean, the whole reason I ever even became a screamer was because Chester Bennington would scream on a couple tracks, and I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. And then I realized there was a world of screaming music, so I kind of got into stuff like I Killed the Prom Queen, Atreyu. I had their poster up in my room, Parkway Drive, that kind of stuff. For years,
Parkway Drive.
For the Fallen Dreams, that was like one of my favorite bands for quite a few years when I was I was sort of into the mix between hardcore and metalcore. And, but then as I've gotten older too, I weirdly have a big appreciation for a lot of pop music. I mean, I'll jam like the brand new Jonas Brothers album. I've been like major into that. I think it's really solid.
I checked a couple of those songs out. They're not bad at all. You cannot hate, like, as a musician, you cannot, like, and I've even told people, like, even Justin Bieber, as a musician, you can find appreciation in the fact that kid plays like 4 different instruments and he records a lot of the instruments on his album.
Yeah.
Like, you may not like the music, like you may not like Clint. He's a real hater on shit like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you may not be into pop, but as a musician, it's impossible to listen to these artists and not find some kind of respect for them.
Yeah.
Because they're out there killing it. And like Jonas Brothers, they're fucking there. I mean, those dudes play so many different fucking instruments. It's impossible to listen to them and not be like, fuck, dude, these dudes are killing it.
Well, that's like my family makes fun of me all the time because I listen to Our Last Night, and they're huge on their covers right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
And my family's always making fun of me, telling me, well, you only listen to this so you can actually listen to the pop songs and like them.
They're not wrong.
But I mean, they're not. They're not. The songs are good when they cover them.
They're good to begin with. You just can't find the respect for them.
And I
Like
was
that. See,
back in the day, Our Last Night was like the album they did on Epitaph. That first one was like, I jammed it probably every single day, and that's probably the era when I started switching from being into death metal and deathcore, and I got Pray for Plagues by Bring Me the Horizon. I was big into that, and they started switching and getting a little lighter, and then everything started kind of going that way, and I got big into the Rise Records scene, and then I really found what I loved most was stuff like Memphis May Fire, We Came as Roman, Woe Is Me. That was and I loved Woe Is Me.
Hell
and
yeah.
now, like I said, I listened to a little bit of everything. I listened to a ton of pop music. I love what it's pop music, but it's not on the radio, so it's kind of weird because I feel like pop music just means popular music. So if it ain't popular and on the radio, is it really pop music? But I feel like a lot of stuff, like bands like The Neighborhood. I like Arctic Monkeys. I'm not too into like the all indie stuff on most things, other than those two bands, and anything with like really good singers and stuff. I guess it's just hard for me to, now that I'm trying to be the best singer that I possibly can. I mean, I listen to anybody who's a phenomenal singer, like Chris Stapleton. I mean, I don't listen to much country music, but I really appreciate
that motherfucker.
I mean, he's somebody.
Yeah, I mean, as
a singer.
Hey, did you catch his national anthem performance at the Super Bowl last year?
No, I didn't. No, I need to check.
Holy fuck, dude! YouTube that.
Yeah, definitely.
You're talking about like for that man, he did it, and other than the fact, I don't know if y'all are sports fans or whatever, but last year's Super Bowl was big because it was the Kelsey Bowl. You had both Kelsey brothers playing in the Super Bowl against each other.
Yeah.
But Chris Stapleton, his national anthem performance got way more recognition than that just because he fucking slayed it. That man, Chris Stapleton, oh my God, that is such an understated artist.
No, yeah.
He is just fucking talented.
He's an example of
you say so.
I'm talking about with being able to start
look like
music later in your life. Chris Stapleton, I don't think had his first big hit until he was 45. Now he had written
he was
connected because
I was gonna say he was a songwriter for the longest time before that. He wrote he was like Bruno Mars. He started writing hits, but he never actually sang them until he finally stepped out on his own.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's what we did an interview with this guy named Tom Netherland. He's with the Bristol Herald Courier, but he has interviewed bands since like the 60s. He's interviewed Willie Nelson and Dolly Parton and Slayer and like everything that you could think of from metal. But he told, that was the same thing with Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson, I don't think had his first like really big hit and first big album until his late 50s or 60s, but he had written for many artists. He was well connected in the industry.
He was selling
but there's many different paths, but that's why I believe that in your life you can do it and you could have a hit song potentially if you just try it and get it out there, and especially with TikTok.
Yeah.
You could Oliver Anthony, that guy. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe money was put in beforehand. But he seems like a genuine guy.
Hey, he canceled 3 shows because the ticket prices were too much.
Yeah, I saw that.
He was like, he told people, do not pay $90 to come see me.
Yeah,
I was like, that is fucking humble as fuck. I don't think I could do that. Didn't he hold out for a fucking like $1 million deal? And he's turned down 4 record offers so far. I thought he accepted one. Didn't he? Yeah, he did. Oh, he may have. Yeah, I think he kept turning them down.
But yeah, I know that. Yeah, I'd heard that he had turned some down, and then I wasn't sure about the whole like canceling shows thing. Like, I totally understand what he's saying, but I've seen both sides. I went and looked at the venues, and I'm the kind of person I try to look at both sides of everything. So that I'm always in the middle.
Then you look at the band's bank account, and you're
like, what he should have done.
That's Cotton Eye Joe's was one of the venues that he canceled out of, and I think their problem is they said that he wanted $120,000 a night, and basically, if they didn't charge that much for tickets with the amount of people that can fit in their venue, they would have went in a hole. But then it's like, it's weird for me. I'm like, could he just lower his price and that would allow the venue to make money? Or if I did the math, I don't know how many that venue holds, but I'm like, could they have still made plenty of money? Or are they lying about not making money?
This is
so
what
it's all
he should have done.
fair, and you got to find in the middle.
He should have signed the record deal, and then he should have took all that money from the record deal to buy all the tickets and then give them away to the fans. Boom.
There you go.
Dude. Yep.
Anthony,
that's how it should have done it. That's a fucking move. So on a much smaller scale, here in town, like any band would come to Cleveland and play the skating rink, right? They had band night like once a month. And so after we got signed,
we come back, and instead of paying, having people pay a charge, we rented out the skating rink that night and threw a free show, and that was probably, they had fire capacity and had to open up the back doors and tape them off to where people could stand here but not come in, and that's a fucking move right there.
No,
Like,
yeah.
buy all the tickets and then hand them out free and throw a free show. And I could see him doing that. He's that kind of person.
Dude's probably
Like,
raking in a shitload of money off streams as is at currently.
Oh yeah. You would think so, but he seems like the type of person that wouldn't even try to monetize his videos.
What if he's not, though? What if he's just this dude playing that?
No, yeah,
just taking
that's
all
what
that
people
money?
were saying, for sure. Like, I've seen that there was supposedly somebody who actually invested a lot of money into marketing that TikTok video. So it didn't just go viral.
You know me, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm all about that.
Hey, that's how I am too. That's why I say I try to look in the middle, because I'm like, all right, I know I'm level-headed, but I'm also like, all right, I don't know if it's this, but maybe I'll look over here to the other side, and I'm like, okay, this might be a little too far, but there's some truth, in each side of it.
He seems too genuine this day and age.
Yeah.
He really does, and that's what's sad about today's times is, you get somebody like that, you're waiting for the Bill Cosby to come at him, like he's drugging bitches at the bar,
Yeah.
Like, you mentioned Woe Is Me earlier. Like, Tyler Carter was one of my biggest influences, eventually, and I mean, the dude is just talented. And then he comes out with all those sexual assault charges, and it like completely ruined how I saw him.
Yeah.
So like,
it's rough.
As much as I love Oliver Anthony, like, I'm waiting for that to happen.
I mean, fuck, it's the same with Ronnie Radke.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
I think Beasis is probably a better example, just because like Ronnie went to jail, got out, but he wasn't trying to murder his wife, whereas like Tim, that was a whole different level.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It depends.
You know who Ronnie Radke is. Falling in Reverse.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, the dude makes $6 million a year.
I say this a lot with our band, but well, I feel like too many band members have like just grown to be completely shitty people, and that's why I preach all the time transparency. I feel like bands shouldn't act like rock stars anymore. That bands should just be open and honest with their fans, and they should bring them in no matter how big or small everything is, and they should show them genuine appreciation. One, because it's how you should feel towards your fans. But at the second time, they're not going to put their trust in you as an artist because they're so used to somebody that they really liking. Turn out, they got these rape allegations, or they've got, whatever, all these different things that could be, extreme problems and very controversial. And, they turn out to be shitty people. So it's like the more that you can just show your fans who you are as a person, I feel like really sets you up for a better place in the long run right now in today's society, because too many people ended up being shitty. Like you said with Tyler Carter, I mean, I know one of the guys that supposedly happened with. I know some weird shit about Tyler Carter that had happened with him that, I don't know him personally, but I know that he's definitely had been involved in a lot of things like that with those allegations and stuff to people that had posted online. And I actually, for a very brief amount of time, played in a band with Kevin from Woe Is Me, which he still with me now, and Tyler Carter has left, and those allegations pretty much killed his career. But there's two things that I see happen. Both are in the wrong. Tim Lambesis and Ronnie Radke and Tyler Carter are all in the wrong, but both Tim Lambesis and Ronnie Radke have a career right now. Tyler Carter has just completely gone. And Austin Carlisle is an example of that also. Someone who was extremely famous. You don't hear anything about him. You don't hear his music no more. But I think this ain't right in my opinion, but it seems like, and Franz is a good example. Franz, Ronnie Radke, and Tyler Carter, it's like they, sorry, not Tyler Carter, but Franz and Ronnie Radke, they just owned up and they were like, hell yeah, I did whatever y'all said it was.
Fuck, Ronnie made a fucking career out of it.
Well, it's kind of like the comedian. Oh, what comedian was it that was jacking off in front
Louis
of people?
C.K.
Pee Wee Herman? No, Louis C.K. Like, he came out and he owned the shit, and now he's back to selling out fucking stadiums again. Yeah, just because, like, owning up to it, it seems to, because we're at a point in time now where cancel culture is on its way out the door.
Yeah.
People are less likely to get canceled now. We make the joke almost every episode because we say some shit that's off the cusp. But after we say it, we're like, oh, fuck, maybe we shouldn't have joked like that. So we come out, we make the joke, oh, fuck, here we go. We're going to get canceled now. But when you look at it, like, cancel culture is on its way out the door. But it seems like owning up to you fucked up. Like, I think people see that and they're like, oh, well, maybe they're not as bulletproof as they lead to believe. And maybe Tyler Carter just didn't own up to it right enough, or I don't know. I kind of fell out, which is me personally. I feel like Tyler Carter was great for Issues, but I think Hans Oligood's the better vocalist for Woe's Me. That's just me personally. I think his style fits better.
No, I agree completely.
But yeah, I want to play a hypothetically with you guys real quick. All right, so which one of your bandmates tomorrow, hypothetically tomorrow, is most likely A, to get arrested, and B, what were they going to get arrested for? And we'll start with Kevin, and then we'll go to Aiden. I just want to see if y'all's answers will match up. Now, Aiden, just because Kevin says in the answer, I don't want you to immediately go, yeah, I agree with that. Just to Kyle, if you have a different opinion, please share it.
Oh, I already have my opinion.
Tomorrow you wake up, one of your bandmates have gotten arrested. What did they get arrested for? And they have one phone call. Yeah, you get the one phone call, you got to go bail one of them out. Who is it and what they get arrested for?
It's 100% going to be Aiden, and he's going to go, bro, you're not going to lie. Like, my tail light was out. I was smoking a joint, and this motherfucker pulled me over.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
I would say, nowadays, I would definitely say that, I probably got pulled over for weed in Tennessee. And that's where then, they're going to throw me in jail or something. But it's not as harsh now as it used to be. But I actually somehow amazingly got out of it. And, I mean, they can't recharge me now. So if the state police trying to watch this, they better know that their state trooper literally came up and said she was going to search my car. And then I said, listen, there's no weed in the car. I said, my friend had smoked in here earlier.
I smoked it all.
Yeah, it smells like it, but there's none in here. And I had stashed.
It's not mine, I promise.
Yeah. I stashed this shit like in my underwear, though, pretty much between my gooch. And I was like, all right, they pull me out. At least there's none in the car. They're going to have to like strip search me.
Yeah.
Shit. So then she comes up and she says, I see weed on your dashboard right here. And she runs her finger across it. And in reality, it wasn't weed. And I told her, I said, there's no way that's weed. I said, that's probably my dandruff and cigarette ashes. And she looks at her fingers with the most disgusted look that I've ever seen. And then she goes back to her car.
She wishes it was weed.
Well, yeah, and then she's like, all right, well, I can't search you. I got to wait for another cop to get here. So then she goes back, and she didn't tell me this, but I think in Tennessee, if they can't get another officer there by the time it takes them to write the ticket, they can't search you. They can't hold you there for any longer than that. But she didn't say that. She comes back up to me, though, and she says, listen, I'm just going to take your word for it. After telling me she was going to search the vehicle, and I definitely had some on me, not a ton or nothing, but but then she says, I'm going to take your word for it, and she says, go ahead and get out of here and clean your car out. Basically, but she was disgusted by that situation, and that was the first thing that came to mind when I said that to her. But I would say that I would have to agree that probably would be me. I definitely was in shit when I was younger, for sure. Like, I mean, I went to juvie twice before I was 18 for just doing dumb shit.
That's it?
Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. But I feel like I always get myself in situations that aren't the greatest.
Now, keep in mind, our first merch line that dropped along with the logo line was my mugshot from when I was 17.
This motherfucker been to jail once and got a mugshot.
I've been to jail twice.
Okay, twice.
It was me at 17 with a mugshot. I had long hair at the time, and I had it put up in a bun, and I'm sitting there, and so we marketed my criminal history to bless the podcast that we could.
It's all right, Aiden. I'm the resident criminal here.
Yeah, he really is. I was, because originally what I wanted to do was do a, like, with the logo, it has both of our faces on each side, mine and Marshall's. What I wanted to do was do a mug shot
of mine and Marshall's mugshots with the Brevin Necessity in the middle, like the logo. But this little fucking goody two shoes. Marshall's bitch ass has never been to jail. So
I was a good kid. I don't know.
he rolling that whole merch line idea from the get-go. So then I was like, fuck it. We'll profit off my fucking 17-year-old mugshot. So I'm sure I've got at least 3 or 4 mugshots.
If you make money
Clint's
off of
wife bought one, so
I wouldn't say that going
yeah, we
those are my proudest moments, but you know, I mean, I'm actually a convicted felon because I lived in the state of Virginia, and in Virginia they can try you as an adult at 16. So basically, when I was 16, I got the book thrown at me basically over not even anything that crazy, but I'd had a previous charge that I pretty much was coerced into a plea deal. State of Virginia ever watches this, I definitely am coming after them at some point for that. Because I basically coerced into a plea deal, threatened with like all different years in prison, and told that I was going to be raped and molested.
Same
upstate, you know what I mean? So I obviously I was like,
oh, yeah.
I want to get the hell out of here right now. I'll take this plea deal. So then when I did something that wasn't, you know, nothing even really that bad later on, I'd already had a previous charge. So then immediately they were like, this kid's a bad egg, and we're going to throw the book at him and make an example out of him. So then I did commit the crime. But I got, you know, I did a plea deal then, and that was the best way out to spend time on house arrest and probation. But then I was convicted of like the lowest class felony. So it's basically been a battle for me to finally get that expunged now. Now that it's been,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, my 17-year-old mugshot, it turned into a Class B misdemeanor, but they coerced me into taking that plea deal for that Class B misdemeanor. Because they said if you don't take it, we're gonna take it to trial as breaking and entering, and you'll be a felon before you're 18. And at 17 years old, I was scared.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Fuck it, I'll take it." When in all actuality, I could have beaten the charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was on felony probation for 3 years before I finally was done and had my shit expunged.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were an adult, so that doesn't make a lot of sense. So fuck you. Hey, let's talk about your felony charges, Marshall.
I don't have any.
Hey, that's good.
You said that it's only because they ain't found the bodies yet. They don't know. They've searched the house 3 times. They can't find where the crawl space is. We keep trying to tell them, but they won't listen. Yeah. I don't know. He keeps changing where the trap door is. So every time they come in, they go directly to where we tell them, and then it's not there anymore. So, now that we'll discuss
soon. Lock the police.
Do whatever. What he said? Hey, Yoko will be in there soon.
No.
Hey, Yoko beat his ass in a heartbeat. Yeah, that's the thing. If I tried to do that with Yoko, she'd beat the ever loving fuck out of me at night. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Look on that bitch, bro. Like, you can't fuck with Yoko. She's bad. So we discussed Aiden's criminal record. Your turn, Kevin. He's like, if you have played the function more than one time, brother. Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Kevin. Hey, that's the way you admit it right there. They know it's muted because then they can't charge you. We told y'all everything.
No, I did have a fuck up, but it's not on my record anymore, and we'll just leave it at that.
Oh yeah. That's all you gotta say, brother. Yeah. I said, man, other than this fucking cock gobbler over here to my right, was maybe y'all's lying with this. No, that's all fucking criminals here. Yeah. Marshall, he just never got caught for this stupid shit, unlike me and Clint.
Yeah. I'm just better at hiding it than you guys are.
I'm blatantly obvious about my stupid shit. Well, my shit was, I was 17, and no, I was 16 when it happened. They convicted me 2 weeks after I turned 17 as an adult. We practiced at a Bundy's brother's house, and that dude tried stealing our equipment. So we slid the rock to the door, went in, didn't touch anything that wasn't ours, didn't fuck anything up, just grabbed our stuff and left, and he turned around and filed charges. So, and they were going to get me for breaking and entering
So I plead guilty for criminal trespass and a Class B misdemeanor.
Yeah.
And so
You weren't looking at 10 to 15 like I was.
Vince Robinson, if you're out there watching this, go fuck yourself, you pussy bitch.
Cool.
Sorry, I had to. Yeah, not tell Vince Robinson to go fuck himself. Unless he listens to y'all, then hey, keep listening to him, be a fan, brother. Because he does like metal, so there's no telling. He may be a fan, so.
I'm gonna throw. That's gonna be an intro, or right before a breakdown. It's gonna be like, "Fuck you, Vince Robinson," and then boom, right into the breakdown.
Oh, that would please. That would be absolutely amazing. Hey, now that I know you're a graphic design, I'm gonna hit you up because I have the shirt idea that we're wanting to do for the next line.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to execute it with what we have. So I may come to you with the idea and see what you can do with it.
Are y'all ever going to fucking tell me about that?
No. But also, I'm just going to throw this out there. But we need Chad said he needs an actual original intro song. If you guys want to throw something together, we would.
Ooh, that would be fucking awesome.
I'm just saying, dude, the way we. What?
Spencer did the Loudmouth anthem or whatever for Louder Than Life and like all the loudmouths that follow that. So he would be a good person. We could definitely talk to him and get him into that, and we can all be a part of it. Yeah, but I mean, he's definitely someone that he could get that started, produce it, and everything for us for sure. So it's definitely something to bring him in, talk to him about, and get it all going and started.
Hell yeah.
I think I just got hard.
Guys, listen, as much as we love y'all, don't get too big of a head on that. It does not take much to get him hard. I'm just throwing that out there. If the wind blows in his direction, he's rocked up. I'm not going to lie to you. Oh, man. My next question, I just want to know, do you guys have any, like, pre-show rituals that y'all do individually or as a band? And do y'all have any, like when I was a band, we used to have band games that we played. Like if somebody was holding a styrofoam cup and they didn't put their hand on the bottom of it, another band member could come by and crush that bottom of the cup and let all the drink fall out of the bottom. I was wondering if y'all have a little something like that.
Never had successful bands.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah,
We used to have a game that we played called Game On.
Yeah.
That if anybody at any point yelled out Game On, and you didn't put your back to the wall, you would come up behind the person and pelvic thrust them. And it was so fun being at a show and somebody yelling Game On and then seeing 200 people fucking run to the wall just so they didn't get pelvic thrusted.
Yeah, I feel like we got to get to know each other.
This is why we weren't successful.
See, I mean, we all.
Yeah, so I just want to know,
What, a year ago now?
what?
In September, I think. Well, no, it was August 28th. I looked at it. Was when we filmed the Miss Misery music video, so a little bit over a year ago. But then, yeah, I didn't know Kevin or Spencer before that, and me and Cody, I'd only known Cody because he played in a band before mine, and I'd followed him, and then we got together, and me and him are pretty close, but I feel like all of us, we all have jobs and lives, and I'm the only one that doesn't have a wife. Sadly, Spencer won't either soon. He's getting divorced, but Cody's getting married. It's weird.
Hey, congratulations.
Like, divorced and one person's getting married. And then I'm single. I'm just like, all right, I'll take all the bitches for y'all. If I got to do it,
That was going to be one of my questions. How's the groupie situation?
Soon it's me and Spencer both. I think we're just gonna both wing it.
Yeah.
And then somebody's got. I mean, it's always the singers though. He sings too, so, and he does. Especially that was one of the things like you were talking about earlier about having somebody else sing for you when you blew out your voice. That's something. I mean, when I blew up my voice, luckily Spencer was able to come in and sing those choruses for me. I could get the verses done. I could still do the screams and I could still do the lower parts, but hitting those like mid-registry notes just wasn't working for him. I would crack every time, and he was able to come in and do that. But I think that, if you're the singer, I mean, girls tend to gravitate towards that. I don't know why.
I gotta say, Aiden, your lows are probably some of the best I've fucking heard.
Yeah.
Like it's very rare that I can hear a low and actually understand what they're saying. So when I listened to it, I was like, holy shit, like that's some impressive vocal work.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of in-well screams?
No, actually I'm more of like a fry screamer, I would say. And
okay.
I pretty much I don't do any inhales. So I mean, everything that I do would be, I mean, full volume, and that's it's really fucking loud always. It's hard to get a good mix on me when I'm using one mic and I'm doing both singing and screaming because I typically kind of sing at room volume. But then when I scream, I mean, the only way I can get that tone and I feel like that oomph out of it is just by really pushing as hard as I can and trying to not let it hit like the middle of my throat, trying to make the tone inside the roof of my mouth, basically, like after it's came out of my throat. Because if not, it'll get really scratchy. And that's one of the best things.
That's what she said.
Melissa Cross stuff, you know, is what'd you say?
So that's what she said.
Well, shit, when we were tracking the EP, you know, Aiden's doing all these like black and death metal fucking screams in his apartment, and like we were worried his neighbor was gonna call the fucking cops because like
the dog started barking.
Yeah,
hell
yeah.
Super quiet. You just hear like dissolution, and then there would be like 8 takes of it, and then we were just sitting there drinking and having fun, and then you know for like 3 or 4 minutes straight, he's just doing these insane screams. It was fucking wild.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. So, Kevin, do you have any like pre-show rituals that you go through other than just, you know, warming up your hands? And I assume do you have like a drum pad that you bring just kind of rock on a little bit to get your hands warm?
Honestly, when I was younger, I used to do that a lot more. Now I just focus on getting my gear how I need it. I've been playing long enough, and when you're touring and you're playing night in and night out, we're not playing Slipknot 3-hour long sets, dude. Our set's 24 minutes. So literally 30, 40 seconds into the first song, I'm pretty much good to go. I mean, as I get older, like, you know, I'm sure some of that would help, but we don't really have the ability to do that kind of shit. So I just take my time, don't really drink a whole hell of a lot before we play, and then get up there, do my thing, and it's curtains.
Yeah, I mean, you would also have to think that the muscle memory, you know, you've been doing this for so long, the muscle memory is there. You know, you're going over these tracks and these songs and everything, and you've played them long enough. You would think majority of it's muscle memory. It's like, all right, so at this specific point in the song, I do this or do this. So I would think that would help.
There's
definitely
not any parts in our set realistically that are like physically demanding to the point to where I'm like, I really need to be warmed up to do it.
You're not out there busting out fucking drum solos mid-set.
No, I mean, the only thing that stinks is like opening with World of Confusion because that song comes right out the gates with that double kick.
Oh, yeah.
And I have had
for me.
Wait, y'all open with that? Y'all open with that?
Yeah.
Fuck, I would hate that. A heavy fucking opener right there. Yeah. Just come up and delete some give
That's
it
why
to
I'm
him.
saying like 30 seconds into the set, I'm pretty much good. Our second night of tour, we were in Fort Wayne, and you know, like I said earlier, our load-in's 3. We do our sound check, whatever. You know, we finally get on. I think it was around like 10:15, and literally about 8 seconds into the song, my beater pops through the fucking kick drum head, and I get and the sound guy was like, "Damn, dude," he's like, "What was going on with your kick, man? It sounded so good during sound check." I'm like, "Look at that shit." He was like, "Oh, damn." He's like, "I don't think the crowd noticed, but he's like, it really lost its fucking like precision." I was just like, "Dude, like 8 seconds into the song, the beater just popped right through it." My pedals are kind of like moving on me, and I look down. I'm like, "Son of a bitch!" But
my in-ears, man. That night,
oh yeah.
I didn't know what the hell had happened. I just was like, "Damn!" Half of the feel of this dropped out in my in-ears, and I was like, I couldn't feel the bass or anything no more. I was like, what the hell is this? And I could kind of hear it, but it was loud, just crashing through it. There was no low end to it at all. You could kind of hear, I guess, the beaters themselves maybe slightly going through it every time he would hit it. But I didn't know what the hell had happened. I was just like, man, something sounds off all of a sudden in my ears. And I was thinking the whole time, I was like, all right, my mix is off or something. And one good thing about how we have everything set up is that we're actually in control of our mix. So we can walk up to the computer or the iPad, and I can adjust Kevin's kick drum or his snare, or I can adjust Spencer's adjust Cody's guitar or the tracks. I can get them to where I like them. And that's one really cool thing that I think Spencer's, I mean, that's all Spencer. He set all that up. I don't know anything about any of that stuff, but I've noticed a lot of other bands don't run it that way, and they're used to the house having to mix everything for them. Us, every night sounds the same in my ears. So that other than the mic stuff, that changes a little bit, but
The most famous line of 2009. Hey, can I get more guitar on my monitor?
well, as a drummer, not being able to being able to do it myself.
As a drummer, I can't tell you the number of shows where all I got was this piece of shit wedge off to the right of me or the left of me, and it would like be crackling, and it would be like either all vocals, all guitar, or like all bass. It would never be a mix. It never be a cohesive mix. And I remember so many times just telling the sound guy, dude, just turn that fucker off. My meter's good enough. I'll be fine. But with us having the clicking ears, man, I've noticed that it makes playing so much more enjoyable, but B, like way less stressful for me. And like it really sucks when like you'll see people like, oh, he can't play without a click, like he fucking needs it like training wheels. And it's like, first of all, I want to protect my hearing, so I'm not going to be deaf. And like secondly, like we would in bands in the past, like I was in this other metal band and we had this one song. It was probably like 120 beats per minute, but the guitar player would come at like 150. And it's like, you have that guitar and then me come in and slow it down. It's going to look really awkward. So there's like some like 30-second, more like 64th note like runs on it. Now, when I was in my early 20s, I could fucking muster through it. But like at this stage in the game, fuck that, dude. No.
Click track when they revolutionized that to where you can have it in your ears all the time live and all that, dude. That was such a game changer. And the pussies that sit there and say, "Oh, you need to play to a click track training wheels." No, fuck. Why would you not want to? It makes the whole experience more solid through the gate, especially if you have like pauses in the song. That click track helps you all come in unison, so you are looking at each other like, now. You know, we've had those moments. Or like back in our day, the way we used to do it is we would have like catchphrases. We would yell, to let everybody know, all right, come back in. Like we would be on a breakdown, and then it would drop out, and then we would have like this like drum play, and they would stop for a second. We would all yell, "Opa," like the Greeks, and then we would all come back in. And so through that, now you have a click track that you can sit there and hear that metronome clicking for you, and you all come back in unison. So anybody that says it's training wheels, no, fuck you, bro. We have the money to invest in better quality. Like these dumbasses, they're wearing actual headphones. I've got my in-ears because my church, we play through in-ear and click track. I use my in-ears now because Marshall, his cats fuck up my JBLs. And now, like, he's going to replace the cord. I've already replaced the cord. It's not closet. He's going to replace the cord because he's an honest man. But, like, I'll never use it.
Because he needs a bitch.
Yeah, 100%. Full-fledged Frisco bitch. But, like, from now on with the podcast, like, I won't use anything other than my in-ears because I think they're just...
I'll be switching over to in-ears soon enough.
Yeah, I sent them the link because I got these. Like, surprisingly, I got them for, like, $25 off Amazon, and they're fucking... I have a pair of Shure in-ears that I had, and these are way better than those.
Just because Marshall's switching, I refuse.
Oh, well, fuck you. We'll just turn the camera off on you, and nobody will see your fucking... I don't give a fuck. Guy Claire, caveman-looking ass. You look like Chris Stapleton's meth head cousin is what you look like. Research that, and they're laughing because they see you and they know it's true.
Hey,
I don't know what the fuck it is.
If I looked 25% the way Chris Stapleton looked, then I feel like it'd be all right. He's got a good look. Hey, I'm from Tennessee, though, man. I see the craziest meth heads you could ever imagine here.
Right, imagine.
Hey, y'all come play a show in Johnson County, Texas, and the team will be like, oh, fuck. Where did we walk into? I think we're the fourth biggest meth distribution county in America.
See, I
Cleveland. I don't know, but Cleveland has its own private-owned airport, so it makes importing and exporting so much easier for the methies.
We have. So I'm right on the border of Virginia, and I used to live in a place called Kingsport. So Kingsport was literally It has its own meme page, but there's an area I lived in called Lynn Garden, and it connects to Virginia, and it's in like the backwoods of Virginia. So there's all these people that own private airfields and shit on top of the mountain.
Mhm.
Supposedly, that's where it comes in. They fly it right into these airports that are just privately owned airports on top of a mountain. They drive straight down right into Tennessee, and they distribute it right there. And and there's tons of those, and I feel like maybe that's why it's so bad in that area. But it literally, we have our meme page, and I lived there for 3 years, and in 3 years, there was a time, like it was maybe only 6 months apart, but I hear like a thud outside one day, and I come outside, and this shirtless dude is like thrown on the ground by my neighbor in my yard.
Oh, damn.
What the hell is going on here? My neighbor tells me this guy had came up and was trying to hide under my car. So I was like, man, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you hiding under my car? And he's like, man, let me go. I ain't trying to hurt nobody. Tell him to let me go. Next thing I know, like 6 cop cars roll in. Supposedly, I guess smoked meth in front of it, like hit a bowl or whatever you call it for them, hit it right in front of a cop, gets in his car, and then smacks right into one of the cops' cars, and apparently off and says, not today, boys, and goes on a high-speed chase. And he just so happened to grow up in my neighborhood. So then when he gets there, I guess he thought that, like, all right, I know this place, so I'm going to run and leave my car here, and I'm going to try to get away somewhere they won't find me. Luckily, my neighbor saw him trying to hide under my car, and sure enough, they find tons of meth on him. I come out my house one day, and on my front porch, this girl is just sitting. And she's like,
shit.
She didn't knock on my door or anything. And only when I come out and she's sitting there does she look around and says, is Denny here? I thought this was Denny's house. I said, I don't know who the hell Denny is, but you need to get the fuck off my property.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't call the cops thing, but she was like clearly messed up on meth. The way she was talking, and it wasn't like down like she was on some pills. Like she was almost like pills, but then speaking real fast or something.
Yeah, see, that's the difference between northern meth heads and southern meth heads. They're real secret about this shit down here. Out there, they'll sit on your fucking front porch and be all methed out.
I didn't realize meth use was like a regional thing. Like, well, like how northerners have accents and southerners have different ones. Like,
that's the way meth works around the United States.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You didn't know that?
No,
no. You used to do meth. How'd you not know that?
Because I never did meth up north. Fair enough. I never made it out of Cleveland doing meth. So I only knew the meth heads down here.
They were secretive about that.
And they were secretive about it.
Well, that's the thing. Andrew always gives me a shit time saying I'm a major meth head when I've never touched meth a day in my life because my teeth are jacked up due to genetics and shit.
Bro. My shit's all fucked up, and I ain't smoked meth once in my life.
No, so we always like to say Johnson County's finest meth head, and I'm like, hey.
And it's funny that I do that because my dad grew up in the 60s and my mom grew up in the 70s, and I've done more drugs than both of them combined.
For real.
I was, like I said, I've literally done everything but crack. It's the only thing I haven't done.
The shit that we haven't done.
Yeah.
But
no, I've
crack once. Somebody handed me a bowl.
How do you know when it's crack?
Sorry. So my cousin, who I've known for a couple of years, and who would always give me, I lived with him for a while, he would hand me a bowl and be like, hey, here, hit this bowl.
Here.
So I just thought it was some weed. He hands me this little metal bowl.
Yeah.
He always would. And he says, hey, hit it. Hit it real hard, though. It's clogged. So I'm fucking hitting this thing.
Clogged.
I hit it as hard as I can. And I'm like, man, this don't taste right. I said, what the fuck was this? I thought it was the bowl that he'd already burned a little. He'd hit it once or twice or something. I didn't really look at it because I'd never, ever expected him to do this. And he's like, oh, it's a little bit of crack. And I was like, I thought he was joking.
It's a little bit of crack. It's just a little bit.
Yeah, like, and I thought he was just saying, like, just trying to fuck with me and be like, all right, it's just, you know what I mean? We smoke crack. Just joking. He was not joking.
I got you.
I had cocaine and stuff many times before. I try to stay away from it.
Yeah.
In the rock and roll industry, cocaine and alcohol.
You gotta do some cocaine.
Ain't escaping.
Yeah.
But so I mean, so I knew then immediately. I felt it. It was like doing cocaine, but if you did 10 lines at once, and then it all tastes like battery acid. I could not get the taste out of my mouth. I felt like shit. I was hyper, but not comfortable hyper. And I never did it again. Obviously, I was not one of those people who's like, I smoked crack once and then I was addicted. I don't get how
Yeah.
you get addicted to that.
Did
because
they
it was the
find
worst.
you in Debo's chicken coop?
Debo's chicken coop.
Well, see, Aiden, what I was going to ask. Well, see, now farther up question, did you beat the ever-loving fuck out of him for that? Because that's a dick move to just be like, here, hit this, and it's crack.
No, yeah, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? You gave me crack? I thought he was joking.
But fuck, at that point, he was so high, he didn't care.
Which is so cool, though, at the same time, my cousin is fucking insane, and he was going through a crazy time in his life, and I was like, it's probably best for me to not challenge this dude right now and just get the fuck out of here and never speak to him again.
Yeah.
You're not. He's cleaned up, but like at that time, I mean, he was like not only on drugs, but also very far on the right side of politics.
Gotcha.
I'm very much maybe.
Gotcha.
I appreciate everyone, and I look at left or right. I'm like, all right, I can look at everyone and maybe understand where you're coming from. But at that point, he was the type that like I thought this dude might become like a shooter or some shit one day. I mean, he was out there as far as shit. He calmed down. Like, it's probably best for me to not challenge this guy right now, who I know has multiple assault rifles in his house and is smoking crack. So I was like, all right,
that's a good call.
Yeah.
All right, so Kevin, what drugs have you done? I'll play. You don't have to answer that if you don't want to. I don't care.
Your guys' resume tops mine. That's all that needs to be said.
He's a man. There's not many resumes that mine doesn't top.
I mean, fuck, I did ecstasy Thursday.
Yeah, like
Hey,
I done some.
You said you liked Miss Misery, so Miss Misery, I was dating a girl who I found out cheated on me, and I was driving 6 hours to see this girl like 2 or 3 times a month. I would go all the way up to Cincinnati, Ohio. I found out she cheated on me, so I left her, and then in between me driving 6 hours back home, a friend of mine in Charleston, Virginia is like, hey, I got some ecstasy. Do you want any? So I was like,
Yeah.
I went and bought some. I took one. By the time I got home, it was really, really hitting. And I sat down and I wrote all the lyrics to Miss Misery. Did the whole song right.
Fuck yeah.
So it was like Miss Misery was a product of, being on ecstasy, honestly.
I mean, sometimes drugs lead to great things.
Now, hold on. For YouTube's sake, in no way, shape, or form are we condoning drug use.
Drug use is bad, kids.
And
There we kind of are.
I'd said that once on
Look,
but yeah,
I'm just saying, seeing Tenacious D while fucked up on ecstasy was probably one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah, he went and saw the D Thursday.
Hey, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel,
Dude.
obviously an important part of music. I mean, people can't escape it. I mean, some of the greatest music in the world was written while people were messed up on heroin in the 70s. Like,
Yep.
and I'm not, I don't
Fucking
think that
Hendrix.
drugs
Yep.
do that, and I would never condone people to do even stuff that I believe is natural, like, doing shrooms and stuff. I feel like that's, I still don't condone that to people, but I do think that there are certain things that can put you in the right headspace, or you can just be there naturally. I think I'm not someone who, I can naturally write songs, but there's a different level that I go to whenever I'm influenced by something that I feel like is opening my mind and thoughts a little more, because then not only do I can sit for hours. I mean, being on ecstasy, it's like you just feel good the whole time. So I sit for 8 hours, move out of my chair, the whole song,
Just followed up on I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, I definitely do not doing that.
Hey, a cold rag, a notepad, and a gallon of orange juice. Yeah, just ordered it set.
Yes, sir.
Now, Kevin, let me ask you, brother. I know you're the drummer of the band. Do you play any other instruments?
Nope, that's it.
You're like, fuck it. This is going to get all the bitches, and this is all I need.
No, honestly, drums are the only thing that really ever interested me for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
And I just really never had any interest in trying to learn anything else, to be honest. Like, drums make me happy. I'm good with it.
We'll grab another beer.
Hey, you know what?
I'll catch up with you.
You're dying, bleed. I lost a couple of drummers because they learned how to play guitar and decided they want to be guitarists instead of drummers. And I'm like, you need to know your roles, buddy, and shut your fucking mouth and hit the skins.
Get the fuck back behind that kid.
Yeah. And the reason why I did that is because I've been very fortunate to come across some really great fucking drummers. And, you know, once you find a drummer, and, you know, any other musician will agree with this, and I know drummers are the same. Once you find guitarists that you fucking mesh with, like, you don't want to mess that chemistry up. And then when you get a drummer that's like, hey, I want to learn, I want to be a guitarist now, it fucks up the mojo.
You shatter their fucking dreams.
So, Aiden, I would recommend you tell Spencer and Cody, don't let that man pick up a guitar another day in his life at all, any situation.
Wow.
If they don't have sticks and skins, you don't really touch
No,
it.
I mean, honestly, I've never really had any interest in learning it.
It's cool, Marshall. I'll get my own beer.
The one thing that was really cool, though, was because I kind of always stuck to just playing drums, doing booking and shit. We wrote the first EP. The last day that we had to do vocals, Aiden was working, so Spencer and I had to take a crack at it. And like, I've never written vocals, lyrics a day in my fucking life. Like, that's just not me, right? So we're sitting there, and Spencer's like, "Oh, tell me about a time where blah 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 blah." And then, like, literally an hour or two later, like, we actually have lyrics written for this fucking song. And I'm like, holy fuck! Like, some of the shit that I said actually made its way into the song.
Hell yeah. I gotta ask you because you were talking about booking Eva Under Fire. Is she that hot in person?
Amanda's amazing. I've known her forever. But I'm happily married, and
naturally.
really well. So
yeah, no, I
doesn't answer the question.
Yeah, I'm married too. I've been married. We celebrate our 13th wedding anniversary Tuesday, but.
I mean, you don't think a bitch is hot.
I ain't fucking blind, bro. And I've seen enough of Eva on Fire that I'm like, this bitch is fucking banging. And I just want to know, because, you know, they can get dolled up for performances and stuff like that. Like, she's that hot in person.
Now I got to look her up.
Oh, really?
I like that. She was a cool person. And, I mean, yeah, I think she definitely, I had not known them an insane amount before. I'd known of them and stuff, but then, you know, just watching all their stuff after that. I think, yeah.
So she heads up to him.
No,
you know,
Amanda,
we're all
Rob,
friends
like
with them.
everyone in the band are just very genuinely great people. And, you know, I go back to like 2011, 12, 13.
I'd smash.
We were playing these shitty ass bars downriver. And like every Friday, Saturday, it was our whole group of like 30 of us playing shows. And even if we weren't playing, it was the same group of people. And, you know, we would all support each other. And then when they were like, hey, Kevin, we got this new band. Like, we want you to be our manager and booking agent. Immediately, I was like, oh, yeah. Like, I had always said, I was like, Amanda, one day you are going to be, like, at the top of the world. Like, she got on American Idol. Like, she went through, like, the first few steps or whatever. But then as soon as they started putting out that first EP that they did that the record label had them take back and all that shit, like, I just heard it and I was like, yeah, you guys are going to make it. So, like, whatever we got to do, I'll book all the shit for you, you know, whatever. And then, like, within a span of a year and a half, dude, they were going from, you know, door deals to $500 to $1,000 a night guarantees. I booked the first tour that they went down to Texas, actually. And I think they played, I can't remember the name of the venue, but it was a Monday night show. And they did a VIP, like, thing. And the promoter was like, yeah, dude, they did 60 VIP tickets on a Monday. And I was just like, damn, dude, like, that's insane.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you about us Texans. Any reason we have to call in to work the next day, we're definitely going to use. So if any, I mean, even relatively big artist comes into town, and of course, you know, Eva on Fire is, I mean, they're at the pinnacle right now. I mean, they're hitting on all cylinders. So if they come in on a Monday, I get a fucking team. People are calling into work Tuesday and like, fuck it, we're going to see them. Man, what is that song? Time Bomb, right? Is that? I think that's. I forget the name of it.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah,
until I just looked them up. So
they did a Sirius XM recording thing, like a live show kind of thing on it, and they did it. So it was the first time I ever heard the song. I think it's called Time Bomb.
I think the song's called Blow.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, fucking get it right.
Hey, yeah, that fucking song, dude, that's catchy as fuck, bro. Ain't you like just kind of...
Hold on, I have a question for Aiden. What are you drinking, Aiden?
That's a High Life.
That's the Coors Banquet. It looks like a High Life.
Yeah, baby, the Banquet beer.
I didn't choose this, but where I do Instacart, occasionally customers are just crazy and they'll just cancel the whole fucking order on you after you paid for it. And then Instacart just tells you, hey, either keep it or donate it. So then I'm like, all right, well, I don't want to just literally throw all these in the trash because then I just poor man. I can't just be throwing full beers in the trash.
My dad works for Coors. I get free beer all the time.
A
25-year-old nephew.
I drink it. Actually, it was just I have a whole full, and I hadn't had a reason to drink them until y'all. So I've been doing it.
Nice. My 25-year-old nephew. That's all he drinks is the banquet beer, and he gets them in the bottles like the little round bottles.
Hell yeah!
I'm like, dude. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you fucking in the 70s? Like, calm down. It's a good beer. It really is.
Nostalgia factor.
Yeah, that's what I love. I know when I'll go over to my sister-in-law's, I don't ever have to bring beer because he's always got cases of, because he's 25. He has a daughter, but he's not married. He still lives at home. He's got a job. He makes like $80,000 a year. Who is this? Dylan. Oh. And so I know he always has cases of beer, so I'm always drinking his beer, and he always has fucking Fireball shots. Ooh. So yeah, I know it's always going to be a good time. We went to New Mexico with them last year, and dude, me and my nephew and my brother-in-law stayed fucking drunk that whole trip. Hell yeah. Like, we were over there trying to fucking feed deer out of our hand, and they weren't having it, but we were like, fuck it, we're going to do it anyways. That's where the joke I was talking about getting fucked. We were all talking about getting fucked up on shrooms. And I was like, I'm going to go out there and get fucked up on shrooms and try and lick one of those reindeer. And then we all laughed for like 20 minutes straight. And yeah, so hell yeah, I respect the banquet beer, brother.
Shrooms is a fun time, though.
I haven't done them since I was like 16. And I keep talking about doing them, but like I'm old enough to where, and like I deal with anxiety now. Mm-hmm. I feel like I need to be in a secure location to do it. And so, I don't know.
Just come on over to my domicile. I'll make sure you're secure.
The fact that you call it a domicile is showed you I would never do shrooms at your domicile.
That's my own friend.
Yeah, exactly. No, it'll turn into Buffalo Bill real quick. He'll be over there talking about put the lotion on its skin.
You could just go to sleep for a little bit.
Right. Yes. But no,
I haven't actually tripped on shrooms in like 8 or 9 years, but I have microdosed, and somebody I know, he was actually getting chocolate bars that were shrooms, and then he was getting gummies, and the gummies were the best. But just, I mean, even like someone that deals with anxiety and depression, I feel like those alone, just microdosing, really helped me just level myself out a lot of times throughout the day. But I've tried to been getting that courage up because I'm the type of person who I like to trip shrooms maybe every 5-6 years or so. Helps me deal with things in my life and process everything and sort of become better emotionally, I feel like, for the next 6 months to a year. And that's what a lot of the studies are doing right now. And I mean, in Colorado and stuff, is that it really will reset somebody's brain for years just by doing shrooms once, and just how much it makes you introspective. So I'm always, that's one of the things where I'm like, all right, it's natural. LSD, I'm like, I don't know if people should do that anymore. And ecstasy,
MK Ultra,
LSD, people tell you it's.
So I want to say one thing real quick. Yeah. I know where mine and Andy's next bro trip is going to be, because we try to take a bro trip every year. Just we want to go somewhere to the woods. No, it's not always ever for a concert. That's exactly what it's got. Well, got a place where you can crash.
Hey, concerts are the best.
I'll get out there. Let's go. Hey, y'all still get like circle pits and shit going at shows? Is that sort of thing?
We want to, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like I said, we've only done one tour and like 3 shows. Other than that,
that record store.
We're still working on getting people into that.
That record store show we did in Raleigh actually had some people going pretty crazy.
I'll tell you, hey,
We'll get it. I'll beat a bitch's ass in the pit.
Hey, we'll go to your show and we'll have a 275-pound man, 35 years old, out there fucking circle pitting like it's fucking 2006, baby. I'll light that motherfucker up for that. I'll push all of them fucking singing wheelies.
I'll go out there with my fucking cane and just start swinging.
Yeah, Clint, y'all can't see it. Clint's gimp. So
he had a bad leg.
Yeah,
He shrouded his ankle in a motorcycle wreck.
it's Clint. He's got a bad life. I mean,
Max.
It
the car just didn't deal right for him. Yeah, but fuck, I know we've had you guys for a while. I know it's 8 o'clock here. I don't even know the fucking time y'all are in. 9 o'clock. So y'all are hour ahead. Okay. I mean, fuck. Y'all have any more questions for him? I don't want to hold him up any.
No, this has been, I honestly have to say, this has probably been our best episode ever.
Yeah, definitely.
I really do, and I really appreciate y'all being here.
I love it. It's not very often they let me bring, even though this wasn't even my bring on, but it's not often they let me bring musical guests on, because then I start reminiscing about when I was playing the bands and shit.
And you didn't even get that bad this time.
I didn't. The last musical guest we had on was the other guitarist of the band that I was in, and the whole episode was us reminiscing about
The fucking episode.
yeah, like, because I lived with him throughout the majority of the band. So like we were together 24/7. We were constantly writing. We were getting drunk all the time. So we literally just reminisced about every fucking dumb shit we lived.
That entire episode, I sat there like this.
Yeah, he didn't even touch the mic. But no, guys, let's do this. Do y'all have anything y'all want to plug or shows coming up that you want to plug?
Plug it all.
Yeah, plug everything.
So
For
we
sure.
don't right now have anything 100% solidified due to a lot of stuff we're working on.
Wow, we got this all fucking hyped
Oh,
up for you, and you just fucking
Hold the phone.
fill that
Hold the
plan.
phone. I
I would say,
am working on
I-
a tour for next year.
okay.
We either are going to be headlining or we're going to be going out in support with a relatively larger band than ourselves. We are planning on, regardless of which path it goes, going down to Florida and Texas. So you guys can probably expect to see us out in the
Fuck
woods.
yeah.
I guess without giving too much detail, expect at least one EP next year. Video wise, Aiden's got more on that end if he wants to dive into it.
Well, I can touch on that. So, like he said, we're doing an EP, but at the same time, really everything's going to be singles. And basically, kind of how we do this, we just hope to be a little more on schedule. But if you drop singles, the problem is with Spotify, if you want to get on editorial playlists, if you put an EP up, you can only submit one of those tracks to get onto the editorials. And then they probably won't pick it anyway. We've not landed a single editorial yet, but me and Cody's previous band and Spencer's previous band have landed editorials. So I think that's kind of the goal, is to drop everything as singles. We don't know the exact order of everything, but we definitely plan on having at least 6 different features from bands bigger, similar size than us, just people that we really mesh with. And so getting, some new singers on some of our stuff, really collaborating with other artists that are right kind of in our scene and with our genre. And then we'll be dropping also 6 additional singles that are going to be more of a concept. They're going to be a similar sound. Video wise, we're not really planning on doing a ton of music videos, because where I'm doing the music videos and they're obviously helping me on crew every day, and the amount of money that it takes, we're going to have 7 music videos out by the end of this year. So it's like we're going to have more music videos than most bands do. So there's really not a big reason for us to do 2 music videos next year, considering the amount of time that it takes. And that's one of the main reasons we fell behind this year, was because we're trying to do music videos and we're getting together extra. And those, even though we're not paying a director for them, we're still investing quite a bit of money, into each one. I mean, $1,000 to $2,000 or $3,000 to get locations and to hire a crew. And so, just for those simple things. So it's basically, we plan on kind of dropping those. They may not be in order. We might drop one of the singles from the more concept type stuff. And then we might drop one that has a feature that doesn't have any kind of video with it. It's just single and artwork, just kind of collaborating with other artists. That's kind of been our main goal for next year, is to try to get 12 songs out. So a song a month, hopefully about the middle of the month, just because we've already got enough music videos that are going to be out at that point. And then if some of them really blow up, I think we're gonna maybe we'll do a music video for them then. But it's if not, I think our focus is on making content for them on TikTok and Reels and stuff, and just try to really promote the songs. To me, music videos aren't the best marketing tool when it comes to like actually getting new viewers in. They're more, to me, a way of establishing your branding and actually, getting looking cool. You know what I mean? But it doesn't actually and new fans all the time. And it's your branding, it's your message, it's what you're putting out. But we can gain just as many fans from just simply making a video in my bedroom singing the song. You know what I mean? And we felt like that's probably the better place for us to approach. We really want to get our social media numbers up. This year is really focused on our small group of fans. So if there's 10 people that comment on everything, we want to really get to know those 10 people. We're not really focused on so much of like marketing to millions and trying to get millions of views. It's like we want honest, genuine views from people. We want that are there for the rest of our careers. We want those people there, but next year's a little more focused on maybe trying to go a little broader audience wise, trying to get as many people in, collaborate with other artists that are similar to us and that are currently active and in the scene, and then hoping that kind of turns into some tours with some of those artists, maybe some interviews for our documentary with them, and really focusing on building that documentary throughout the year. It's been a year now that we've been filming for it. I plan on at least another year of filming and then probably a year of editing and planning, and our goal is to take that to some type of film festivals. And like you all were talking about earlier with record labels, I mean, we want to cut record labels out of everything. And I think the biggest problem is nobody's ever just invested in a band. Nobody's ever been like, hey, we'll give you $50,000 and we want to see where it goes and give us 10%.
Exactly.
Nobody sees that, but that's mainly because none of those bands, that's too risky. None of those bands know how to market themselves.
Well, like, let's go back to like the TRL days. What was the MTV band they did, End Together or whatever? We're basically trying to do that with like a metalcore band.
Well, and I never worked out. Do you remember when they had the it was the TV show. It was kind of like American Idol, but for metal bands. And if you won, you got a record label and or a record deal. And you got to go on Ozfest. And it was a Dozen Furies won that. And like they had everything it took to just be the biggest fucking metal band out there. And it's like they shit the bed on it. But yeah, I think honestly, man, if y'all keep doing what you're doing, because y'all are marketing just right. I mean, y'all are hitting on all cylinders. We've really, I took a deep dive into y'all's numbers, stuff like that. Like y'all are growing, and I know it's not a big thing, but I mean, in a week's time, y'all definitely getting 3 fucking lifelong fans. Oh, absolutely.
Well, that I can tell you right now, bro. Even in Chat City and my personal page, I've followed all your socials, and then, like we were talking, all the, I wanted to, me personally, since I do all the post-production and everything, I wanted to give, because we were having y'all on, I wanted to make some clips for y'all. So, y'all have seen them. Y'all know what they look like and what's coming out. One of those a day until the episode drops, but like y'all, I like to try and make everything I can high quality as possible. And, I think it's worked out real well. And I think, honestly, they look good. They look high quality.
See, and I'm just a button pusher. He posts it, I share it.
The other aspect of it is like when you're doing the band thing, like truthfully at the end of the day, like regardless if you have a record deal or not, it's like when you're playing shows, are people coming out? And the barometer for us was like the 2 shows we did prior to going out on the road. The Archer show was absolutely phenomenal. The one in Nashville was pretty damn good, like all things considered. But we pre-sold tickets out of 7 out of 8 shows. And the only reason why it was 7 out of 8 was because the Monday show didn't allow pre-sale tickets. So we would have had pre-sales 8 out of 8 shows as a band that had only been around for 7 months. And I booked that entire tour off of 1 single and 1 video. So like,
fuck yeah,
dude. Hit me up. Like, hey, Raz, like, can you book us a tour? And I'm like, sure, tell me the dates, tell me where. And all they came to me with was 1 single and 1 video. I probably would have been like, dude, like, I'm sorry, like, it's not feasible.
Yeah,
It's gonna work. But I mean, obviously after COVID, things are a lot different. But we were going into it just saying, you know what, whatever happens, happens, and we're just gonna power through it. And like literally every night, we're like, damn, dude, these shows are actually going way better than we expected.
And I mean, honestly, and that's what we do. That's what we do with this podcast. We just, hey, let's because I turned my third room in my house into our studio.
Yeah.
Like, so we all just come to my house, we hang out, we record an episode, and then that's like us. We're just at this point, whatever happens, happens. And if we hit the top stage where we're getting, thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of viewers, cool. If not, we're going to continue to do this because we enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And I assume that's the way it is with y'all. Y'all enjoy doing it.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly.
Obviously everybody wants to rise to that level.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy doing it, just keep going on and keep rocking out.
I mean, the biggest crux is we've all been doing it for so long because we love it. And now we're actually seeing like numbers and, little rewards from all that hard work. And
it's nice to see the progress.
We've been talking about age, right? If things weren't going the way they are, would I be going, oh man, I'm 36, like I think it's curtains? Probably not, but I think it's just invigorated me 1,000 times more to go, fuck, dude.
Don't give me that fucking
look. Like I'm 36.
I'm just saying,
popping, like fuck, dude, let's keep going.
And man,
I
owe a lot of it to Todd McCarty, and that guy said that, we consulted with for a year before this band, and now he's just become a good friend of mine, and he said he's always a part of the team, so he's there for us to ask any questions that we need. But, I think he got this from a book actually before, but all it takes really is 1,000 true fans. So 1,000 people that spend $100 on you a year, maybe we adjust that with inflation. Maybe we need 2,000 fans.
Yeah.
Because 100,000, we're only gonna make $25,000 a year a piece. That's nothing. You know what I mean? That don't pay our bills.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think getting to that point where if you have 2,000 people that spend $100 on you a year, you actually can somewhat make a living then, and it's not so much about the millions of people. And there are so much content out there that the best way to actually reach people is to try to be as niche as possible and to answer that specific question. For those people, they want something, they want a specific style of music, or maybe they want to find a new band that hasn't been discovered already. A lot of people are like that, and aiming to be that, treating everyone with respect, and just appreciating every person for giving us the time. We don't need. That's why me and Kevin work hard to respond to everybody that we can on social media, and sometimes it's a little taxing, but it's like it's a job for us, and we really respect everybody. And so a lot of bands I've been in, I mean, our band members, honestly, were like kind of annoyed by all the fans that constantly comment. They're like, we don't want to respond to these people. They're kind of cringy or whatever. And I'm like, man, those are diehard fans. And the more you build those people up, the more they're going to spread your name. And we got guys going to shows, like speaking to bands that I love and adore. And they're like, hey, y'all need to work with Poet the Band. Doing the work.
Well, see, and that's as a fellow musician and a listener, that's something that I can appreciate. Like if I comment on your fucking post or something, and an actual member like comments back, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like that,
for sure.
That shows me that you're not too fucking high and mighty to.
It makes them more inclined to little people. It makes them more inclined to spend more money on you. Because as fans, they're not just spending money for merch. So they're not just spending money to go to a show. Like they're investing in you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because if they don't have the urge to see what's next for Poet the Band or to hear the next single, like me, I can't wait till the next single drops. Like we've heard. I know I can speak for Lisa. Like we've listened to your whole discography on Spotify. Like I'm ready for the next song. Like I want to hear that new Poet the Band song, and I want to jam the fuck out of it with the windows down, driving through town, just so I can I can relive fucking 2007 again. Because honestly, with how metal's going now, it's not relatable for me a lot of the times because I'm from the early 2000s. So y'all give me like, when I was listening, y'all like, I know Memphis May Fire has been a reoccurring theme of this podcast. But y'all give me some serious Memphis May Fire feels.
Memphis on fire, hit us up.
Yeah, not gonna lie, there was
you on one of these features.
yeah. Hey, and not gonna lie, there was a couple of spots in some of your songs that gave me periphery vibes.
See, and I was feeling I Prevail.
I Prevail too.
Yeah.
Like y'all hit so many genres that like y'all are hitting relevant metal nowadays, but still giving us 30-something-year-old metalheads something that feel from back in the day. Yeah, like you can relate.
That's what we grew up on, man. Like that element is always gonna be there. To kind of build on what Aiden was saying, you know, like all four of us have been in touring bands and we've all collectively kind of failed at some level or another. But the one constant that I've noticed is that when we first started announcing shit, we each had like one or two people that routinely always shared everything that we did. And now like almost every single time we post something on the band page, there's like 15, 20, sometimes 25 people, and it's all the same people that are sharing it. And you know, like Aiden was saying, it takes 1,000 or 100,000, whatever. Like,
I feel so embarrassed because it's just us three and Marshall's girlfriend that shares our shit.
I know. My problem is I don't get on. They give me shit because I don't ever share our stuff, and it's because I don't ever really get on social media, other than like I get on Facebook for Marketplace, and that's all I do. I'm big on Marketplace and eBay, and I will make a promise to you all I will get better about it. Okay, I have a lady I to take his card from eBay.
Well, it's important because you never know that, like, just because you ain't getting 100 likes on Facebook and 100 likes on Threads and 100 likes on Instagram and 8,000 views on YouTube or whatever, it's like, but if you look at each of those people, first of all, people are going to be more diehard fans if you actually respond to them and interact on multiple platforms.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then you never know. One person might be on Threads, and if it's one person that comments, that is even more of an opportunity for you to make that person.
Dude, tell her about the girl from Nashville, dude.
Which one? Nashville, you said?
Yeah, the girl that
Maz?
the gift.
Yeah, I mean, this girl, and it's like, and the problem is that you don't see that stuff happening a lot. It's slow at first. You don't expect, like, okay, if you're taking your time to really focus on this one person that's commenting, you don't expect that to really go much of anywhere. But then, inadvertently, they start sharing it to everybody else and telling their friends. And that girl is a good example. She met us once at the
second show
Savage
ever.
Hand show, our first show. And she comes out and brings us a $300, $400 worth of gift cards. I got some of it right here. This spray stuff for your voice. Brought us multiple packs of that. Gaff tape, drumsticks, Olive Garden.
Hell yeah!
Center gift cards, like literally $300-$400 worth of stuff. Just because we responded to her on Instagram and she had followed us from that first show, and we just really try to treat each person. And, obviously we like to make money and stuff, but at the same time, it's not about that. I know how I was on MySpace, and
it's about the connection.
Yeah, and I would go through and, I would find so many bands, and like you'd said, whenever a band responds to you, that means a whole lot. And I know how impressionable I was growing up. So if I can be that for somebody else and be someone, even though I have, a crazy life and I might not be the best influence in the world, but if I could slightly influence somebody to pursue a dream, or slightly influence them to just, get out of their head for a moment and come watch a concert, listen to some songs, or, maybe they listen to a song because it fixes how they feel at a certain moment. That's, I think, inevitably the most important to me. And we all have full-time jobs. So it's like, we hope that the music pays off, but in reality, all that we want is the music to pay off to the point where maybe we could spend more time making better stuff for people, and making
for sure.
Recording better songs and and not have to go back to our day jobs every day. But I'm sure we all like to work a lot, so we'll probably work jobs forever. It's visibly not possible anymore. I love videos.
Nah, fuck that. I'm gonna be a rock star.
I'm like, all right, let's go be a rock star, but then let me be a movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure
book a job.
It all.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think we're pretty summed up on our end. I know we've had you guys for 2 hours and 50 minutes, and I know I'll probably have things I want to do. So I
just said he doesn't have a life.
What was it? Yeah, but Kevin, I'm assuming you're married, correct? I'm sure his wife's tired of sitting there being quiet and
he runs a rock star life. Fuck her. I'm just kidding. Please don't kill him.
All of our shit's packed up. So we really have a lot of stuff we can do. So it's basically like YouTube and just chilling. But no, thankfully she's very supportive of this shit and lets me do it. So no.
Oh yeah.
I'm right there with you. My girlfriend, she's very supportive of this too, and she lets me, anywhere between an hour to 2.5 hours every Sunday night hang out with these two idiots. So, it's really awesome to have that in the bag.
Yeah. But listeners, listen, take this opportunity. If you have not yet, because of the number of clips that we've dropped so far and the ones we're going to do, when this comes out, please go subscribe to YouTube. Go fucking subscribe on the Spotify. Go check out Poet the Band, especially if you're like us and you're a millennial and a 2000s kid. Vince is going to take you back down memory lane, but also just fucking rock your face for nowadays too. I mean, honestly, they are a top 5 band I've heard recently, and probably my favorite band right now. So please go check out Poet the Band. Aiden, Kevin, man, I thank y'all so much for taking 3 hours out of your Sunday to fucking sit down with a couple of jackasses from fucking Texas and shoot the shit with us, man. Y'all have been awesome. Definitely by far my favorite fucking episodes.
Absolutely. Fucking blast.
We're gonna be down there soon.
We appreciate that.
We start working on
Fuck yeah, dude. Hey, if y'all need a place to stay, I got a domicile.
Please do not stay in domicile. Please, God.
Holy God. Domicile tour.
Oh, fuck yeah. God damn it. Whichever one you want to take over, go ahead and plug all your social medias, whatever, websites, social medias, all that, what songs you got out right now, anything like that. Let the people know where to find you, Aiden.
It should be good, but I have to go downstairs to get my charger. But it should be all right now. It ain't told me low battery yet. But yeah, Poet the Band on everything. So Poet the Band, Instagram /Poet the Band, Twitter /Poet the Band. The only thing that's different is if you want to email us, and that's poetbandofficial@gmail.com. Everything else is just under Band, no matter where you look. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. We're on all of it. We try to be everywhere that we can. And then, we got Modern Day Poets going to be coming out. It's something we're working on. It's 2 years in the making for sure. And that's, a documentary that does go over exactly what it's like to start a band in your 30s and just why you should never give up on a dream. And there's many avenues and paths to go about everything. And whether it's music, podcasts, starting a catering business, whatever it is, any kind of business that you have a dream.
Nice.
Anything you got to do, I think you can do it, and that's what everything's about, and that's really what we stand for in a lot of ways. We just want to show people that you're never too old to follow a dream, and you can write really great music at any time in your life.
Hell yeah. But no, that's all I got. Like we said, we greatly appreciate you guys connecting with us. We greatly appreciate y'all coming on and hanging out with us, for 3 hours. It was a freaking awesome interview. Loved having y'all on.
We may have to break this episode into 2 parts.
No, I'm gonna edit it and it's all gonna be one episode.
No way.
Friday. I've already been told it's dropping this Friday. So yeah, it's gonna drop. People want it, the people get
we're pretty good about dropping the same week.
Awesome.
So
we appreciate
man.
With you guys for sure. We don't normally an hour at the most is normally what we do, and usually it's an hour only gives you enough time to really answer the kind of basic question. It's very hard personality, I think, in that times. And like I said, people were tired of rock stars. There's no more room for rock stars. I think that was Kevin Lyman that said that on Warped Tour. And that's really where we're at. We want to be rock stars, but at the same time, you got to be a good person. you got to really care about what you're doing and care about the people. And I think that's really what we're ultimately about. We enjoy this every moment of it, and just enjoy being able to actually speak in depth about some things.
Head grow, we appreciate it. Oh yeah, man. Like I said, y'all go check out Poe with the Band on everything. Subscribe, guys. Please let us know when y'all come to Texas. Even if it's Austin, we'll drive 3 hours to come see you fellas out here. Oh yeah. And I'm making a promise. Y'all come to Texas and y'all let me know when. We're not even gonna ask you for comps to the show. I'm gonna pay full price to get in. And first round's on me, okay?
Hey,
You heard him. I'm
sure.
getting like 3 first rounds.
No, you're not doing shit. I'm talking about for the band in Marshall. You have to pay for your own shit. Yeah, fuck Clint. I'll pay for the band and Marshall in my first round. Clint has to buy his own shit. I love you guys.
I love you too.
Marshall, I love you the most.
Love you too, Andrew.
All right, we're out.
Hey, we love all y'all. See you guys.